Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart. Sometimes things fall apart, and we love to talk about that, but I hope this podcast helps you also understand that you don't have to put yourself back together alone. I'm MommaFoxFire, and today we're going back to one of my very first Mental Health Monday interview guests, on her second time around joining me. This conversation with Elizabeth Climis was recorded way back in 2020 when I was just hitting some COVID cancellation snags. The conversation we had about productivity and mental illness has stuck with me ever since. Before we get into that interview, I want to talk about February for a minute because this month can be genuinely rough on mental health in ways people don't always acknowledge. We are deep into winter at this point. The holidays are over, so at least that distraction is gone, but the New Year excitement has also worn off. And if you made resolutions, you could be at the point where they're starting to feel impossible, or you could have abandoned them entirely already. February is when the reality of winter really sets in. Seasonal affective disorder hits hard this month. Even if you don't have SAD, or the lack of sunlight and the cold and the way everything feels gray can wear you down. Your energy drops, your motivation disappears, and then you feel guilty about it because you think you should be doing more. It becomes a cycle where you're tired and unmotivated, and then you're beating yourself up for being tired and unmotivated, which makes you feel more tired and unmotivated. And Valentine's Day also exists, and that comes with its own mental health complications. If you're in a relationship, there's pressure to do something special or romantic. If you're not in a relationship, there's this cultural message that you're missing out or that something is wrong with you. If you've recently lost someone or gone through a breakup, it can feel like the world is rubbing it in your face. Even if you don't care about Valentine's Day, the marketing and the social media posts and the expectation that everyone should care about it can be exhausting. So if February feels heavy this year, you're not imagining it. This month is legit difficult. Give yourself permission to just get through it. Now, let's talk about productivity and mental illness, because that's what this interview and this conversation is really about. Productivity has become this weird moral measure in our culture. We judge ourselves and each other based on how much we accomplish. We talk about being productive like it's the most important thing a person can be. And when you're dealing with mental illness, that pressure can become unbearable. When you have ADHD or depression or anxiety or any other mental illness, productivity is really difficult. Your brain is literally working against you. This isn't about willpower or trying harder or wanting it enough. Your brain chemistry is actually different. Your executive function is impaired. The systems that neurotypical folks use to organize their time and energy and focus don't work the same for you. With ADHD comes executive dysfunction, which means the part of your brain that's supposed to help you plan and prioritize and manage time just doesn't fire correctly. You can know exactly what you need to do, and your brain still won't let you do it. People call it laziness, but it's really a neurological issue. Your brain struggles to start tasks and switch between tasks and estimate how long things will take and remember what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. Depression takes your energy and motivation and makes everything feel pointless. Getting out of bed becomes a major accomplishment. Showering feels impossible. And then you look at your to-do list or your goals or what other people are achieving and you feel like a failure. But depression lies. It tells you that you're worthless and that nothing matters and that you'll always feel this way. None of that is true, but your brain believes it anyway. The advice that works for neurotypical folks often makes things worse for those of us with mental illness. Just make a schedule, just use a planner, just break it down into smaller steps, just remove distractions. These suggestions assume your brain can actually follow through on them. They assume you have access to motivation and focus and time awareness. They assume your brain works the way it's supposed to. So people with mental illness end up feeling like they're failing at productivity tips that were never designed for them in the first place. We try the strategies that work for everyone else, and when they don't work, we think it's our fault. We think we're doing it wrong or we're not trying hard enough. We internalize the failure instead of recognizing that the system itself is broken. What Elizabeth and I talk about in this interview is how to work with your brain instead of against it, how to build systems that actually account for executive dysfunction and low energy and time blindness, how to redefine productivity in a way that doesn't destroy your mental health, and how to give yourself permission to do things differently, because different doesn't mean wrong. I hope this interview does something similar for you. I hope it gives you permission to stop fighting yourself. I hope it helps you understand that productivity doesn't measure your worth and that getting through the day is sometimes the biggest accomplishment possible. All right, let's get into it. Here is my conversation with Elizabeth about productivity management with mental illness.
Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Monday with an actual pro here. We have Miss Elizabeth back with us. She was actually with us a little over a year ago. When I say a little, I mean like 13 days over a year ago.
First.
It was. Yeah, I went back and looked. I was like, I know it was right around this time, but it was July 1st. And that was my very first guest stream. So I'd been talking about mental health on Twitch for quite a while. That was the very first time that I had a guest stream. So thank you so much for coming back and being with me here today. I'm really excited to talk to you again.
Me too. That was actually my first time anyone considered me an expert. So that was pretty neat.
Fee says, welcome back. Have you felt more like an expert since then? Fee said.
On occasion. Sometimes I feel like an expert and sometimes I look at what's happening around me and go, I still need an adultier adult. I would like to feel more like an expert. I've been working on getting my license. The problem with this is that I submitted my paperwork round about March, like 10th or 11th, and then the entire state of Massachusetts shut down. Surprise! Pandemic. So
yeah,
one day, my goal was by the end of the year having a license. It's still my goal. I just don't know how realistic it is. But then I can really feel like an actual expert.
an adulty adult, right?
An adulty adult. The adultiest.
Yeah, the adultiest. That sounds awful. Let's not second thought. DJ, thank you so much for that sub. I appreciate it. I will get you into Subtrust. We'll do a game code giveaway also for that. Lucky 13. There you go. It's better. Good.
Woo.
All right. Perfect. So for those of you who weren't here 1 year ago, Elizabeth is a marriage and family therapist living and working in Massachusetts. She has a BA in psychology and MA in marriage and family therapy and has been doing in-home family therapy through nonprofit agencies for the past 8 years now.
Yes.
Last year we said 7.
Holy moly. I feel very old.
I know. There are sometimes that somebody will be like, well, I'm 20, whatever. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh, you baby. I remember some of those.
I felt so grown up when I was in my 20s.
Yeah. And now, man, I'm almost 35. I'm old.
Yeah. So her work is primarily with children ages 3 through 21 who are experiencing a wide range of mental illnesses. She also received training in trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which was our focus last time, and works to help her clients and their families process their trauma in a safe and healthy way. Elizabeth is also a gamer who got started early with board games and discovered a whole new genre of gaming in college, first joining the D&D club, then getting into video games. She loves all things nerdy and works to bring these passions into her work as a clinician using video games, Dungeons and Dragons, and board games to teach social skills, communication skills, and practice managing emotions. So the topic tonight is time and productivity management with mental illness, especially ADHD and depression. We're going to talk a lot about that. So as we go along, we do have a question queue open. If you are interested in submitting a question, you can type in !Q. Follow with your question, just the letter Q. Don't try to spell out Q. It's just awful. It's silly.
Quay away.
Yeah, quay away. Yeah. !Q. Follow with your question. That'll be entered into the queue and we will get to it ASAP. We are also both keeping an eye on chat, so it's all good. See, and it's not weird for me to have viewers who are in their 20s. I feel like that's probably pretty fine and normal and typical. I mean, people that I work with, we're interviewing for this position and some of these people are in their 20s and I'm like, oh, I just want to pinch your cheeks. Can I pinch your cheeks? Hey, Joyce, how are you? Waddles, hey, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Can't believe I'm about to turn 39 in December. There you go. Diagnosed last year.
Oh,
I've been living with Asperger's my whole life and didn't know it. Wow, DJ. Wow.
You know what, DJ Storm? Actually, I was diagnosed with ADHD last year and was living with my whole life and kind of going, ha ha ha, I have ADHD. But then I do now. So it is really weird to suddenly find out that, oh, this thing that you kind of thought maybe might be weird actually is a thing that's real, and it's just a part of who you are, and now you're learning how to live with this knowledge. It's very bizarre, or at least it has been for me.
Yeah. We have Miss Jim McCarthy. Oh, J McCarthy. Mrs. J McCarthy. I can't read.
That's my work wife. Hey, babe. Girl, go to bed. You're exhausted.
Oh.
I did story time today. I bought her daughter a couple of books so that we could do story time and I could read them to her over video, and her daughter could
that is so
look
cute.
at follow along with the pictures. It's been super fun.
That is really cute. So are you doing a lot of your work via kind of the telecom, all of it? Yeah.
All of my work is telehealth. I actually saw a client in person for the very first time since March 13th on Friday, because that particular person had just been really struggling with the isolation and all of that. And I really at a point where they were so overwhelmed by everything happening. And so I talked to my supervisor and I was like, all right, what if we did a drive-by and maybe sit in the yard far apart, wearing our masks, the whole 9 yards. And it for that particular client, it was really reinvigorating. It was really helpful to see I'm still alive, I'm still human.
Yeah.
Especially because this particular family is just bad at technology. And so they've been having a hard time with doing video chats, and now it's just phone, and it's hard. It really is. It's been tough for everyone.
Yeah, that's the way that it's been for my kids. Everything is over the phone, and last year, we'll see how it is in the fall, but in the spring it was very much, the teachers weren't used to using it. The students were sort of used to using some aspects of the platforms, but not in the way that the teachers were asking them to do it. So yeah, it's good that you were able to make that connection, and it sounds like you were staying safe about it, which is excellent.
Well, so I mentioned this to you earlier. I live with someone who's immune compromised, and they are actually an essential employee. So he's got a full respirator mask. I'm talking he looks like he's modern day plague doctor, because he's just not dealing with any of it. So, when clients are like, well, when are you meeting in person? When it's not going to put at risk the life of, the people I care about. So
yeah,
it's been tough. Personally, actually love it. I don't like having to leave my house, and I'm actually fully dressed today. I am wearing actual shorts instead of pajama shorts. Previously, I just wear pajama shorts and a top, because what my clients see is what you all see right now. So
exactly.
I don't need real pants. I can just wear pajamas.
Yup.
But I actually got dressed today because I was going to go out and try to get tested for COVID. Turns out you don't actually have to wait a long time. So I'm
that's good.
Gonna reschedule it for next week, right before I have to actually know and leave.
Yeah, Fee said, I love that there's no pressure to go anywhere. I agree. And also, I have been wearing nothing but leggings. That's it. Leggings. That's all. I only wear the leggings with really deep pockets. So
yeah, I've been making friends with the Blue Jays. So I have my window right here, and as soon as I found out that I was going to be working from home for the foreseeable future, I was like, hey, you know what I could do though? I could become best friends with the crows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out I'm not best friends with the crows. I had a crow visit once. Everyone else has been Blue Jays, and it was actually great because they'll stand outside the window and scream until I throw out some peanuts. And then they started bringing their babies. I have videos of the babies just failing miserably trying to crack peanuts open. It's great.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Talk about some self-care. Nothing makes you feel good like watching baby birds fail at life. They're adorable.
Yeah. Okay, well, we already have our first question. We haven't even really got into it yet, but DJ says, what advice would you have regarding an almost 40-year-old discovering they've had Asperger's their whole life, regarding adapting and trying to adjust to that? I'm trying to be more mindful of my issues, but I still don't really know how to go beyond what I've been doing my whole life. So just a reminder that we can't like tell you specifically things to do, but we can talk in general terms. So with that in mind.
Yeah, so one of the things, as I mentioned, I was just diagnosed 30, 34. How old am I? God. At 34, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Not the same thing as Asperger's, but having that late life diagnosis is kind of a weird, eye-opening experience. One of the things that's really been helpful to me has been connecting with the ADHD Twitter. And I know for a fact that there are also, Asperger and autism sections of Twitter. And so being able to like find your new community and get a good understanding of like what is available, what's out there. And, I think that also, for me at least, it's been normalizing a lot of things that I look at and go, oh, this is just my weird quirk. It's like, oh no, that's ADHD. It's fine.
Right.
And, this is not just like you're alone in this weird quirk you have. It's, oh, okay. This is normal for people with ADHD, and other adults with this understand. So being able to like find that community and connect with other people who get it, who either grew up with the autism diagnosis or who have discovered it late in life, it can be really helpful and eye-opening. I was recommended a book by Dr. B of Take This.
Love Dr.
Have
B.
heard of him.
Mhm.
He is an absolute
He's
delight.
been on
Love that
before.
man.
Yeah.
He's so good. I love that man. So he had recommended, because I got the audiobook of it because I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to like read it, so I'm gonna like I can listen to it in the car. I wound up having to buy the book because it was so like I kept going, oh, I wish I could bookmark that. Oh, I need to highlight that. So I wound up buying the book so that as I'm listening to it, I can actually highlight and
Right.
bookmark and all of that stuff. It's great. So let's see, go to my Audible. The Complete Guide to Asperger's Syndrome by Tony Atwood. And he had recommended that because I asked him about like how can I help parents get a better understanding of what autism and what Asperger's are. And he recommended that. And so I have not finished it. Things have gotten hectic since tax East. Yeah, that's when he recommended it. Things have gotten hectic since East, but what I have read so far has been really enlightening and really helpful. So that might also be helpful to you in just sort of figuring out what are just your personal quirks and what are actually explained by this newfound diagnosis.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to finally understand something about what you're going through. Especially with something you've lived with kind of your whole life. Like my depression and anxiety isn't something that I had necessarily when I was a kid, but it's something that I have now because of events and things and life and stuff. But if I like even the gap between whenever everything started for me and the diagnosis, like looking back over that gap going, oh, now I understand why some things were the way that they were. So I can only imagine it being like this huge eye opener if you've been living with it your whole life and not really knowing. And the link to that book, I just linked the Goodreads because
that's perfect.
Yeah, wherever you want to buy it, like you just need the info about the books. And I love Goodreads anyway. So
and it is available on Audible as an audiobook. So that's how I get most of my reading done, because I can read in the car and, not get pulled over or crash and die.
Yep. And Goodreads will tell you like where everything is also, like where it's available and all that good stuff. And you get reviews that aren't necessarily tied to a platform, which is what I like about Goodreads.
Yeah.
Not sponsored, but Goodreads. Hit me up. So especially right now, a lot of people are trying to find things to do in and around our homes instead of going out. What are some of your favorite at-home hobbies?
So I think part of this is ADHD, I tend to hop around and not completely finish things and then like start new things. So I, at some point last year, stumbled across the like Norwegian band weaving, which is a traditionally Sami craft. And if you look at the clothes of the Sami people, who are the indigenous people of Norway, they have these just absolutely magnificent woven ribbons essentially all over their clothing, highlighting it. And they're gorgeous. And so I thought, oh, that would be fun to learn, because I happened to see a book on Amazon. And I was like, add that to my wish list. And so my sister happened to get it for me. And so I bought myself the supplies, and away I went. And I got a rough idea of how to do it. And then I got busy, and then COVID happened, and I put it down and didn't pick it up again. It's actually in a pile behind me somewhere. I've also been doing a lot of video gaming lately. I was never into Animal Crossing.
So
Turns out
many
I am.
people. So many people love it.
And actually, I have to blame a lot of my PAX people, because like Dr. B was playing it. Shauna Spain, who has her own Twitch channel and does really cool stuff there, she was playing. There were like tons of people who were playing. I was like, I'm having a little FOMO, and I'm not used to that. Like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I am more than a little bit addicted. Started playing Pokemon a little bit, but then I had to get back to my chores. You know, those farm chores, my island chores, checking my mail and checking my trees and hitting my rocks. I've been doing a lot of housekeeping, actually, which is not my forte. So I've been like catching up on getting dishes done, catching up on getting laundry done. I actually also, because I have my lovely idiot dog, I love her so much. She is both wonderfully smart and also my stupid little Pika princess. When I first got her, she literally chewed everything. I almost lost her adoption papers to her because she got her face on them. Every morning, it's kind of a, heads or tails. Are we going to wake up to tissues all over the floor, or are we going to wake up to not? She's gotten a lot better, but I've actually had time now to train her. So it's gotten to a point where I can get her to sit and lie down with hand signals, not a word. It's very, very exciting for me, because that ties into like, classical conditioning and behavior training and all the fun brain stuff, but with the dog.
Yep.
And then like, the stuff that I usually do, which is lots of puttering around on my phone and watching TV, catching up on Netflix and all that stuff. Kind of just like anything that I can think of to do, that like all the things that I've wanted to do, but I haven't had time to do. I'm doing a lot of cooking now too. And one of the things that I noticed is I feel healthier, because I have, honest to God, not eaten fast food probably since March 13th. I've had, fries now and then when like the boyfriend goes out to get something, or get like, fried chicken and fries and stuff. I'm like, bring back some fries. But other than that, like, I haven't eaten fast food because I don't trust it.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know who touched it or coughed on it or any of that. I don't want that inside of me.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of cooking, and my family, oh boy, we cook our feelings out. So that's actually been really great.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've been doing a lot too. Like I also haven't been to restaurants. I haven't been eating fast food. Like my ex has been to restaurants and everything, and he'll say, "Well, I'm gonna take the kids. Do you want to go with us?" And I'm like, I really wish you wouldn't take the kids. And also no, right? Yeah. She tried to eat our on-call phone. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you still think she's a sweet dog.
She did. And you'll notice the on-call phone looks heck a lot better now, because we've gotten a new one. It no longer has dog bites in it, but she completely ate one Roku remote and half ate a second one.
No.
Saying the first time she destroyed it, it did not work anymore. This time it's got teeth marks in it, but it still works fine. She also ate the remote to our fan light combo in the bedroom.
She's got a thing for electronics.
She's got a thing for electronics, paper, stuffed animals. She doesn't care. Now, what blows my mind is she has a squeaky squirrel She does not tear apart the squeaky squirrel. She just squeaks the squeaky squirrel. Every other plush thing gets torn to bits.
Because it doesn't have a squeaker in it.
They do. No, they do. She tears them apart, gets the squeaker
really?
out, chews on that, and then spits it out. Okay. She won't swallow any of these things. Thank goodness.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the squeaky squirrel, for some reason, she won't destroy. She loves her squeaky squirrel, particularly about 2 in the morning as I'm trying to sleep.
Slay said I've been testing my own Asian-inspired noodle and rice dishes. That sounds really good. Bite said my dog chewed through a laptop power cable that was plugged in at the time. Mine chewed through my sewing machine cable that was plugged in at the time. Like, fortunately, the sewing machine was not on, but he did. The newest dog chewed through a sewing machine cable. And I had to special order because it had the specific plug that plugs into the rest of the machine and like the things we do for the dogs we love. Yeah. Yes. It pretty much. Yeah. Yep. That's the one.
In my sewing machine, which she does not have access to.
Yeah. Well, and I learned my lesson because now I store the cord in its own, like I bought a box to store all the cords in. So now unless I am using the machine, they go in the box.
Yeah. We actually still can use the remote for the fan and the light, but it's held together with a hope and a prayer. And luckily it still works because there is no clear way to buy a new one.
That's the hardest.
Be like, okay, we're stuck on no way to control this fan.
It is what it is. My cat has eaten more clothing, blankets, and wires. He loves earbud wires the most. Okay, I think that one of my cats is eating, not the wires, but these little pads. These little things. I think one of my cats is taking them off of the ear. Like, we have several different pairs of these around because the kids all have like 5. They lose them like nothing. So I buy bulk and earbuds. But I'm pretty sure a cat is taking them and eating.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah. Or doing something with them. I don't know. So why do you do what you do? Kind of what interests you in mental health and who and what inspired you to get into this field?
Why do I do what I do? Well, I'll tell you for sure, it's not the money. We do not get paid as well as we should. And I guarantee any clinician that you talk to, any social worker you talk to is going to be like, yeah, I love what I do. I don't do it for the money. I don't make enough money to put up with this stuff. I actually experienced some trauma growing up, and it was nothing like trauma enough to warrant like needing trauma therapy, but tough stuff.
Yeah.
And so one of my girlfriends who had been through, her parents' divorce and her own mental health stuff was like, oh, I'm interested in psychology and I want to be a therapist. And I was like, that sounds cool. I don't know, but I don't want to be a teacher anymore. And I'm probably not going to be a ballerina artist either. And so I was like, yeah, no, definitely. Psychology, that's for me. And I actually wound up getting really into it. It's become very fascinating to me. And that was like when I was in 7th or 8th grade and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I didn't really need to know either. And the more I got into it and the more I learned about it, it was like, wow, I could like help people. I could make a difference for people. And then as I got older, people just kept like talking to me. Like, I would meet someone new, and within like 2 hours, I'd gotten their entire life story, not through any effort of my own. It was like, oh, hi. And then they'd just be like, my issues with him, or, my issues with my mother, or why I'm adopted. And I'm sitting there going, okay. Because as my mom puts it, I wanted to be a therapist because I'm nosy. And she's not wrong. I am definitely nosy. I like to know people's business. Like, if there is tea, I would like it spilled. But it sort of very much felt, by the time I got to college, it very much felt like a calling for me, that I am someone that people feel comfortable opening up to, and I can use this awesome superpower for good. And so, when I got into grad school, during my interview, they asked me, why do you want to do this? Why are you interested in marriage and family therapy? And I was like, it feels right. It's going to sound weird, but I feel like this is the thing I'm being called to.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept all through college. I worked with kids. I nannied a lot as a teenager. I worked in schools as an undergrad. I worked as a nanny in grad school because girls got to make money somehow. And then I wound up, my internship was at a partial hospital program, which is kind of inpatient, kind of outpatient. We would get kids, like elementary and high school age kids, coming in for a couple of hours after school and doing group therapy. And it was amazing. I miss doing group therapy because there is nothing more powerful than having a room full of teenagers calling each other out with an adult sitting back going, see, I don't even need to work. You're just doing it all for me. Because they'll listen to each other a lot more than they'll listen to some weird adult. But like that internship, I was like, shit, I need to work with kids. I really need to be working with kids. This is what I've spent my whole life doing. I like kids. I like obnoxious teenagers. Like the shittier the teen, the better. I'm swearing at me, calling me names. Come at me. Like, let's do this. Let's dig up those feelings. Let's like build that relationship. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So it felt right, and I love what I do. I really do. Like I said, I don't do it for the money. And during my internship, kids are, Miss, you're only here because you're getting paid. I was like, yo, I wish.
Right?
Jeff, I don't make a dime. I am literally paying money for the honor of being with you all. And they were like, wait, what? And, one of the bachelor's level people was like, yeah, no, she's an intern. She pays money to get college credit to come here. We don't pay her anything. And they were like, Miss, you don't get paid? I was like, no. So then eventually you build up that rapport of like, oh, she's actually here because she wants to be. And when a new kid rolls in, you don't care about us. All of a sudden you got 3 teenagers going, she doesn't get paid to be here.
All right. Yeah. Yep. So Fee said, Kevin, the ER techs is telling me about it regarding not making enough money. Yeah. Teachers and ER techs, like there's so many people, so many professions that I really honestly think that they should be making so much more bank. And especially right now, like, look, these people that you're considering essential, maybe paying them a better wage because clearly they're the essential ones.
I know someone who works at one of the local grocery stores, and I was like, so are you, like, you're getting hazard pay, right? And they're like, no. I was like, I'm sorry. No. You have to work and have people breathe their nasty germs all over you in a pandemic and you get nothing?
Yep. And a lot of those, yeah, right. I mean, a lot of those workers, at least in Texas, also, some of them really don't get sick time, PTO or benefits. Like it's awful. It's horrible. Yeah. Kevin doesn't get hazard pay at all. Yeah. Like it's just so much.
Fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
It's really not. It's really not. And I wish that there would be, like, out of all of this, a greater examination of who's getting paid what based on who was considered essential or not. Like, and I say that as a non-essential worker. I am not an essential worker. I have been working this whole time because I can do my job from home, but I'm not an essential worker. And I honestly think that the people who are essential workers in this situation, really, there should be a greater examination of that.
Yeah.
Spill the tea. I would also like the tea spilled, but I want it to be secondhand tea because I don't want to interact directly with a drama. Understand that.
I love that secondhand tea. Occasionally, one of my girlfriends will like, we'll text each other and be like, who wants some, steaming hot work tea? And it's like, oh yes, I would like to hear about your like library tea. All sorts of like therapy tea that I can't talk about, but like, tell me about your library tea.
Yeah. There are people getting paid more on unemployment than Kevin's getting paid for his job. See, that's just.
And you know what? I can't even feel mad about that because a lot of those people are much more in need of that money than I am. And like, I got my COVID check, essentially. I guess that's what we're calling it, the stimulus check. I got it and I looked at it and I went, I don't even know what to do with this. Like, I am financially stable. I'm much more financially stable than a lot of my peers, than a lot of my coworkers, than a lot of the people who I rely on in my everyday life. Like, I'm going to get, food at a restaurant and a lot of those people are unemployed now.
Yeah.
And you know what? They deserve every penny that they can get because they don't have, a savings account that they can fall back on necessarily. So they may be getting paid more, but it's helping them, keep things stable. Because I don't know about everyone else, but I've noticed that there are some places where I've had increases in bills. A lot of my clients, because they all have school-aged children, they are having a lot of increased bills. One of my families was talking about, like, they're now paying for their children's breakfast and lunch.
Yep.
Because their kids used to get that at school, and they used to get it for free at school. Also, because some of those kids are teenagers, they're home board, so they eat.
Oh my God, they eat so much.
Constantly. But also things that we don't necessarily think about, like, where does your child use the bathroom every day? Most of the time it's at school. Well, if they're not at school using the school's toilet paper, they're at your house using your toilet paper, and so you're running out of it a lot faster. And so there are a lot of other expenses that I personally hadn't thought of. I don't have kids, so a lot of those don't really apply to me. And so it's been really eye-opening of, like, what are the actual problems that people are running into, and there's been a lot of my work has been a lot of supporting them in that.
Yeah. So we talked about this, and I just want you to know, like, based on our conversation a year ago, I added a question to my list of questions that I've asked almost every single one. Now I give them the option of, like, if you don't have a good answer to this, we can change it to something different. But can you refresh our memory on what your favorite true crime story is? And then do you have a favorite true crime movie or podcast also?
So I'm not super into the true crime shows or movies. However, true crime podcasts, that's another story. And how about, instead of true crime show or movie, I do have a favorite serial killer.
Yes, perfect.
So my favorite serial killer is Albert Fish. He ate a little girl. It was a fascinating story. I actually did my final paper on that for my forensic psychology class. I got to go on the first day because our professor said, anyone who has people who ate people, y'all are going this week. Next week I'm bringing pizza, and I do not want to hear about eating people while I'm eating the pizza. So I got to go first. I walked.
I feel like that's fair.
I am here to talk about Albert Fish. He ate a little girl. Like, let's start off cheerful. So I started listening to Man in the Window, and I actually had to pull it up because I was like, what is it called? Which is the story of the Golden Gate Killer. There were a couple of others that I had listened, like I listened to Serial and a couple of other things. And then, I'm listening to the Golden State Killer, and it's like, okay, here's they're talking about stuff. And then they get to actual phone conversation recordings. And friends, I was driving home from work at like 9 o'clock at night. It was dark, and there was a creepy man whispering into my car. Like, there is nothing creepier than hearing, I'm gonna kill you, as you're driving down a dark highway.
Yeah, no kidding. So is that on the Wondery podcast? Is that where you listen to that?
I use Podcast Addict now, but it's just, if you search for Man in the Window, you'll find it.
Okay. Yeah, because my guest last week was talking about the Wondery podcast as well, as one that she really enjoyed listening to. And then, Fee, I just want you to know I started listening to My Favorite Murders fairly recently. So pulled it up and started listening.
I've been having a hard time getting into that one.
Well, I tried to start on episode 1, but Alexa wouldn't. Oh, I just said her name. She's going to listen now, but she wouldn't pull up the first one, so she pulled up the latest one, and it was actually it was about the sleeper, the Grim Sleeper. That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, there was, what was it? I don't remember what it was called, but it was an unsolved murders one that like looked at historical murder and then reenacted them in like a radio drama, which a combination of really cool and super cheesy. So that was a real, and I wish I could remember the name of it. They ended it, and I got a new phone, so because I switched from Apple to Android on me, and so I have no idea what it's even called anymore. But it was really good. So
I'll have to keep an eye out for it and see. You haven't listened to any of the newer ones. Been working on catching up. Well, I was cooking dinner the other day. I was like, instead of listening, because normally whenever I'm cooking, I would listen to music.
Yeah.
And I was like, instead of my normal 90s grunge alternative music, I'm going to listen to something different. I was like, well, I could listen to NPR or something, but I just kind of want a story. So I had the robot who shall remain nameless over there, so she doesn't listen. Do you have a mosquito?
I have some sort of little bug. I've got a real janky setup here. I've got rope lights in a loop because I trying to buy a ring light right now was just a hot mess. So I
Yeah.
actually bought that, and then I covered a paper plate in tinfoil as a reflective. So it looks really janky, but it works.
Yeah, right. There you go. So yeah, I couldn't get her to play the latest one, so I couldn't get her to play the first one, so I started on the latest one, but it was pretty good. So
Nice.
generally speaking, why is it important to manage your time well these days?
So I personally have found that not having a real set schedule, because I wake up when I feel like it. Um, and then if I don't have tomorrow, I don't have anything. My first meeting's at 11, and if I'm not careful, I'll sleep till 10:45.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's okay, that's not going to work. So I'm still trying to wake up at a reasonable hour. Okay, be out of bed by 9. Because normally work work starts 9 to 5. Well, there are days where I work from 9 to 6, and there are days where I work from 11 to 4. And it all balances out essentially. Trying to, if I just sort of let myself go when I want to, what happened was I fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
I was not keeping up on things. I fell behind on my work. And so keeping myself on a schedule helped me to manage my time more efficiently and get things done more efficiently. And I mean, it's if you're if you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, that works sometimes. That's great for vacation. That's great for every day. But in the middle of a pandemic, one of the things that I think people should be talking about more is that this is a massive trauma event.
Yeah.
So anyone, and you youngins may not remember this, anyone who was alive and in school during September 11th when the two towers were hit, that was a mass trauma event. Every single person who witnessed it can tell you exactly where they were, what they were doing, what they were wearing, what they
Yep.
had for they can give you all of the minute details of that day because that day is locked into our memories.
One.
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was transitioning from health class to math class. And nobody was doing anything. We were all just staring at the TV going, no, no. This pandemic is a similar situation. I think that probably the Twin Towers affected everyone, but I think probably people in the direct vicinity of New York a little bit more because we knew people who traveled to the city for work.
Mm-hmm.
We had family or friends working in New York. Whereas with this pandemic, it is worldwide. It is
Yeah.
hitting every single person in every single country, and it's been especially difficult here in the U.S. It has been a stressful, difficult time. So recognizing that you may be snapping at people more. My boyfriend and I have noticed that we can get nitpicky at each other for stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stress related and it's trauma related. One of the things, and I'm interested to hear if anyone watching has had this. Twitter was talking a lot in March and April about how people were having bizarre dreams, but not like weird dreams that you have, but really bizarre dreams and consistently. And I have always had weird dreams, so it was oh man, That's super cool. How come I'm not having weird dreams? I want those weird dreams. Well, I started having those weird dreams about a month ago, and let me tell you, they are weird and they are not great. And it's a weird part of trauma. It's been a really bizarre experience. And so keeping in mind that we are not just working from home, we are trying to live and function in an unprecedented time. There is no one alive today who remembers the last plague we had. The last pandemic in the US was, and the last really huge monumental one. AIDS has, of course, been an ongoing pandemic. And we've lost a lot of lives to it. But if we look back to like the Spanish flu back in 1918, it's been 102 years since we had a pandemic of that size, and we lost over 1 million people, I believe. Somebody can feel free to Google that and correct me. But it was a huge loss of life. And here's the real kicker. That was H1N1. Y'all might remember when H1N1 came around in the past decade and people were like, oh no, it's the flu. And some people died because that happens with the flu. But for the most part, it wasn't that big a deal. And now here we are with this, novel coronavirus that everyone started off with, it's a flu, it's a cold, it's no big deal. Well, it's causing, people to have ongoing health issues. People have been sick for months. People have had, young people my age have had strokes. That's not normal.
Yeah.
When a 30-something-year-old, a 20-something-year-old has a stroke, that is a shocking event. And the fact that they are having dozens upon dozens of young stroke victims. One of my friends, we were not 100% sure yet, but she was having COVID symptoms, mildly, uncomfortable and whatnot. She had joked with me, one day she texted me, was like, oh, I think I have the Rona. The next morning, she was rushed to the hospital and her husband called me, and I had literally spoken to her the night before, and her husband said, hey, she's dead. They think it was a blood clot. And so, people are losing friends, family members, and it really is a lot more traumatic than I think a lot of people are realizing.
Right.
It's having a huge impact on mental health. People who have their anxiety, depression, OCD, whatever it is, under control. Surprise! It's probably not nearly as under control anymore.
Yeah.
Because now you have this extra stress. And when we're more stressed, all of those anxiety coping skills, all the depression coping skills, everything that you've learned to handle your mental health, well, that's kind of out the window. And now you're trying to function with extra awful. And so it has been harder. And I think especially for people with depression, it's been difficult because what's the point of getting up in the morning? You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. Why get up? Why get out of bed? Why get dressed? I'm a big fan of the McElroys and the Bim Bambinos out there. Hey. Taz fans, any of that? But Travis McElroy on his Twitter for several weeks was doing hashtag I got dressed today. And he was encouraging people to post selfies of like, hey, I actually got dressed. I did it. I'm not going anywhere, but I look good.
Yeah.
And so, having people encouraging others to do those little things just to take care of themselves in such a difficult time.
So this says it is estimated about 500 million people, or 1/3 of the world's population, became infected with the Spanish flu. The number of deaths was estimated to be at least 50 million worldwide, with about 675,000 in the U.S.
Oh,
Yeah.
I overestimated a little bit in the U.S., but it was
I mean,
bad.
yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
It
Hey,
was
Autumn, you
it
no,
was
you
real
didn't
bad.
miss it. Out mowing my lawn after sunset because heck, how hot it was. Oh my God, it's so hot here.
Ugh.
So hot here. It's insane. It's
It was.
absolutely insane.
I'm a whiner, so like anything above 75 is like, oh, it's too hot.
Yeah,
But
it's
it was
way above
much
75 here.
needed.
like right now, so it's 9:33 at night and it is still 93 degrees outside. It got up to 102 today.
I love Texas in January when I go to Texas South, and it is a balmy 75 on a
Yes.
warm day.
It's nice. It's nice. For PAC South, the weather is nice, I will say.
I don't want to exist in any of the South in like the summer. It does, and no,
It's awful. It really is. It really is. And I lived here my whole
no,
life and you don't get used to it.
Autumn, honey, 130 is not. No, that's not a real thing, and it doesn't exist. And I'm very sorry that you're making things up now. It's like 5:30 in the morning. It's not a real thing.
Incorrect. No, it definitely is, and that's unfortunate. Yeah. Fee
No,
said I always have bizarre dreams. I've had waking nightmares and night terrors and sleep paralysis. No to those things.
I've never had. I've had like weird. I guess they're like waking nightmares. I've woken up and there has been like a snake in my bed. There's not really a snake in my bed. I saw it and like hallucinated it, and then I woke up and I'm like, where is the snake? And like the boyfriend rolls over and is like, what are you doing? I'm like, there's a snake. He goes, no, there is not. Go to bed.
Absolutely not. Also doesn't exist.
Is that a waking nightmare? Is that what that is? Like,
I don't know.
Just why this weird thing I do? It happens on very rare occasions, but it's always like weird, like a snake or like, I don't know. I guess at one point I woke up and was talking about the guinea pigs and I had misplaced all the guinea pigs. And my boyfriend had to tell me it was fine. They were fine.
They were fine. Don't worry about the guinea pigs. Do you have guinea pigs?
Well, so now I have guinea pig single. At one point I had 5. And then I got rid of one because he was a boy and he went to live with someone who he was not going to risk impregnating. And I kept mom and the baby and then the 2 pigs I had already. And then slowly my 2 girls got up in years and they passed away. And then most recently during PAX East, I called her Tiny Peg. Her name was Siggy. She passed away. She was about 3 years old, which is young. That's pretty young for a guinea pig. But I still have her mom. Her mom's around and kicking. So they, the hospital thought that perhaps because Siggy she was the product of some interesting mother-son relations.
Yeah, it happens.
They thought it might be some sort of genetic issue.
Right.
Yeah. Her dad's name was Oedipus, Eddie for short, and her brother was Hamlet.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, it sounds like my husband responding to my middle of the night nonsense. Yeah, I've always had bizarre dreams. There's one antibiotic. Bite mark will remind me what the name is. I'm sure it starts with an L and it's like Levaquin or something. But it gives me like super hyper realistic dreams, which is one of the things that I've been having now. Like I will wake up and not be able to tell you if that was real or fake. Like for a couple minutes. Levaquin, yes. For a couple minutes, I'm like, did that all just really happen? And I have to convince my awake brain that no, that didn't actually happen. And I have been having some of those lately. So yeah. But I had heard when they first started talking about all these dreams and everything, that it was the product of your brain not having downtime. Did you hear that as well? That it's like, since your brain doesn't have the downtime to kind of process through your day, either on your commute or while you're shopping or whatever it is you're doing, you're just always in one spot. So your brain is not really doing that processing. So it has to do it at night kind of thing. Did you hear anything about that?
I did not. It wouldn't surprise me. So what I know about dreams is, so we finally recently figured out what we need sleep for, why our brains sleep. And if you'll allow me to go on a very brief tangent, it's basically your brain's wash cycle. All sorts of stuff builds up in your brain from using it all day. And when you sleep, part of what you're doing is transferring your short-term memory into long-term memory. The other part is that's your brain's opportunity to get rid of all of the waste that has built up over the day from using it. Um, it would not surprise me if having like a lack of transition time did contribute to people having weird dreams. I know one of the things that I've noticed with my dreams is that usually it's a weird combination of all the things that you've thought about that day or dealt with that day sort of mushing together in, bizarre combinations. But what I've noticed is that there are more of those.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it's more of that stuff like, hey, you didn't have time to properly process this on your half-hour commute. So you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna throw that into the mishmash of weird dream stuff.
Fee said, so she's talking about the waking nightmares. I used to be
Yeah.
wide awake and have these weird, surreal, alternate world visions. And my sight would go dark and or blurry, and I would feel like I couldn't walk straight, and I would feel really nauseous. And then I would come out of it, and it was so disturbing. Wow. Yeah, that's something. That's intense.
And it's interesting because one of the things that I have seen is people likening that to like the alien abduction stuff, that like maybe you sort of have this belief in aliens, and so that's how you explained this bizarre thing that happened. One of my girlfriends was telling me once, she's like, yeah, so I had this weird thing where I was frozen and could not move when I woke up. And I was like, oh, cool, sleep paralysis. Never had that. Always wanted to, though. Like, that sounds interesting.
I do
Because
not want
I'm a
that to ever
weirdo,
happen
and
to
I'm
me.
like, okay, we learned about all the weird, like abnormal stuff, like left side neglect, and the blindness that's cognitive blindness. You're blind because your vision parts of your brain are damaged, not because there's anything wrong with your eyes. So like all those cool, weird brain things. I'm like, man, if I could like take something or like do something that would let me experience that for like an hour, that'd be neat. So yeah, like of course then as people talk about like sleep paralysis, I was like, yes, I want that. I want to feel that. Well, she described it as like being frozen, not being able to move, feeling like someone was holding her down, and then like seeing these fuzzy gray blurs of human moving around in her peripheral, but not being able to look at that because, of course, she's paralyzed. She can't move her head. And she's like, I feel like now I understand what people talk about when like they feel like they've been abducted by aliens. She's like, because it felt like it felt very much
Right.
like that. I was
Right.
like, okay, well, all right, I can see how that can happen. And that even more made me want to feel it.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, no to the clients in the house kind of thing.
no.
Like, nope. I woken up into panic so many times thinking it's something bad happened to my kids. I can't even tell you, like to the point where I go down to their rooms and check on them. And I'm like, are you alive and breathing? Great. Are you alive and breathing? Great.
I've actually had nightmares where like something happened to my boyfriend, and I'll like roll over and wake him up and be like, did you do this horrible thing to me? And he's like, what? No. And I'm like,
What are you talking about?
okay, you can go
Yeah.
back to sleep. We're good. I don't need to be mad at you. I am mad at you, but like I'll get over it.
Right. Your dream mad.
Yes.
Yes.
So Fiona is interesting. I've actually had ones where my dad was alive, and I kept yelling at him that he was dead because he is dead. And so the fact that he was coming back and being alive, it was like, oh, that was
And
like,
do that.
not mysterious. And as I mentioned, I lost a friend to, we suspect, COVID, and I actually just this week had a dream that she was alive, and I was like, but how come what? How did the hospital get it so wrong? Like, how did your husband get it so wrong? And then I woke up and I had to then process that, like, no, she's actually dead. This is real. And the reality is that they're dead. And the dream was that they weren't. And dreams can really they can really mess you up, especially when you're having a hard time differentiating reality from the dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When my kiddo was a baby, she would sleep with her head behind her shoulder blades. Oh, I remember that. So I always thought she was dead every time I woke. This is my niece, literally, like, her head would be wet, like, so far back, it looked like it had been, like, snapped back. It was awful. But that's just how she liked to sleep. And she would fall asleep in, like, a normal position and 5 minutes later be in that, like, crazy head back. And it's like, and she's still very, like, bendy. No, just one of those people. Most of my dreams take place out of line with our current timeline, outside of any possible timeline. Mine get weird. Mine get real weird. Like, they're not always realistic, but when they are realistic, like, it makes me call and check on people a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So back to kind of time management, but a lot, I know we like tangents here though, for sure. So a lot of time management tips out there are the kind of just do it, prioritize, plan, recover your lost time in some way, which all sound those are all good things, right? But do the
they're as effective as, well, why don't you just stop feeling sad?
Exactly. So my question to you is, like, do the traditional methods really work well for people who struggle with their mental health with things like ADHD or depression?
That depends. For some people, they do work well. For other people, they're kind of a hot mess. I say this because I am one of those people that's kind of a hot mess. I actually, the reason that I went and got tested for ADHD is that I was, and my lovely work wife, I love her to pieces. She actually, so the process for getting assessed for ADHD as a child is that you have your parent fill out a form and then you have your teacher fill out a form. Well, as an adult, it's you fill out a form and then you have someone very close to you fill out a form. So because I actually spend more time with my work wife than I do with my boyfriend, I gave it to her and she filled it out for me. But I was having a really hard time remaining focused at work. I could not get my work done in a reasonable amount of time. Now, my job is technically 40 hours a week. Realistically, it's usually closer to 45 or 50, and that's an average week. A bad week, it's closer to like 60. But the fact that an average week for me was spending 70 hours working and not even getting what I was supposed to get activity wise. We're supposed to have a certain amount of billable activity. I wasn't hitting that. And I knew full well that the only reason I wasn't was because I could not focus for the life of me. And so I wound up going to my therapist and I said, I really think that I need to be assessed for ADHD because this is a problem and my job is at risk. I'm being told that I could lose my job. And so part of what was helpful for me was medication. But the other thing that was really helpful, there was an app that I use. I've been using it a little bit less now, which is a problem in and of itself. But it's an app called Forest. And it was actually, for me, it was worth the like $2 or $3 to actually pay for the full thing. But you get.
Is this the one that you plant the tree? I'm sorry to interrupt, but so
You plant a tree and you try not to kill it.
Yeah, so I don't have this, but Bite Mark has it, and her daughter has it on her phone, I think.
Heck yes. I stumbled across it because I was like, well, fuck me. I don't have any good ways of coping with ADHD. I know that my phone is a distraction. Like, what do I do? And so I, like a cool adult, I hit the Googles and I went, how to handle ADHD as adult. And so it was really that, like, that's one of the apps they suggested. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to be I can actively grow a tree, or I can do a bad job and kill it. And that worked great I did not want, and one of the few times that I have killed a tree was because my friend's husband called and I was like, well, I'm in the middle of growing a tree, but I feel like maybe this is important. And so using that has helped me curtail using my phone. When I was in the office, you'll notice Ms. McCarthy mentioned phone jail. This is going to tell you what kind of people we are. In our office, right next to the door, we had a tampon container that we had wrapped in marble wrapping paper.
Yeah.
So it looked like fancy, like white marble. And we thumbtacked it to the wall, and it was just like, that's phone jail. So when we were getting distracted by our phones, God bless her. I love her. So I love you so much. She, every once in a while, would be like, Elizabeth, do you need to put your phone in jail? I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you. Let's put our phones in jail. And so we just, reach over, drop the phone in phone jail. And that worked well prior to knowing that I had ADHD, prior to
Right.
having any of that. Another interesting thing for me was that when I started taking my meds, I was like, these aren't working. Like, these don't work. Nothing is happening. There's nothing. There's no side effects. There's no nothing. And then I got to the end of the week, and I'd worked maybe like 45 hours, and I had exceeded my billable activity for the week. And I looked and I went, it's not super burned out. And also, I don't have any work to do. Cool. And so I was, I sat down with Ms. J. McCarthy, and we were talking about it. I'm like, this works. They don't feel like they work, but clearly the evidence is right there that this is working for me. And this may not work for everyone. One of the things that I do is, particularly around like prioritizing, planning, I use Post-it notes a lot. I have removed my computer. Let me tell you, these Post-it notes are sturdy. They're actually what is the actual Post-it note? Yeah, the Post-it note brand. They're black, and I use
pink ones.
I use shinies. So
I
have
love
my
it.
metallic gel pens. And so like this, I have a note on my computer called vet because I'm out of one of the meds for my dog. So bam, right there, it's on my computer, and I'm going to keep looking at it because I have to put my hands on it. I also have, I have to strategically, I'll vet cover up.
Any excuse to use gel pens is a good thing. Yes.
So I've strategically covered client initials, but I have a to-do list, and that is also on a Post-it note that I stick to my computer, and you'll see I have a bunch of things crossed off. I have to do a provisional assessment. I have to, get the insurance off. I have to do a letter for a client. Right now I have a comprehensive assessment that's late and a treatment plan that's late. And then I've added to that list intake prep because I have an intake on Wednesday that I have to prep the paperwork for. And I'm able to organize it and prioritize it based on like, what is the most important stuff? Well, I had not done a single note from last week by Friday, like a single note, not one. So the top thing on my list of things that to do was get those notes done. And I was able to, before this, I finished my last note.
Yay!
So now I'm basically starting fresh this week. I have my list of prioritized things, and I look at what is the most important thing to get done. What is my supervisor going to tear me a new asshole for? Well, having notes not in is going to be a problem.
Right.
Because then it looks like I got nothing done last week, because when she looks at my activity, she looks in the system to see what notes are in there. If there are no notes in there, I've essentially done nothing.
Right.
And part of figuring out how to make that work for me was actually my supervisor giving me permission. Well, no, she didn't give me permission. She gave me a direct order to take time to organize myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to look at it and go, well, I don't have time to create a to-do list. That's a waste of my time. Oh, I have to do this thing. Oh, I forgot about that thing. Oh, I need to call this person. And I wind up getting things half done, forgetting important things, losing details in the mix, forgetting to document important things that I've done. I spent half an hour on a phone call. I never wrote a note for it. I never wrote down that I had that half-hour phone call.
Right.
That's now half an hour of time that I've essentially wasted because we're not getting paid for it. I'm not getting credit for that work. Yes, it got done, but it's not helping anyone. Or well, it's not financially helping my job.
Right.
It helped the client, but it didn't help me. And so making sure that I'm carefully documenting everything and keeping myself organized. And when you force yourself to take the time to get organized, whatever that means for you. For me, it's writing a list of, priorities on a Post-it note. And I have in my planner, I have, each day, and I have it because I'm even particular about what planner I use and how. September. I have at the beginning of each month, I have the whole like thing that shows like each day, and I can put in my general schedule into that big calendar, that the month view. But then each week I have like, Susie 11 o'clock, 12:30 care plan meeting, 4 o'clock supervision, 5:30 meet with Timmy's DCF worker. And then I can right next to that record how much time I spent on them. That doesn't work for everyone because not everyone, is in the therapy field and has work that can be organized like that. But finding the system that works for you is a lot of trial and error. For me, I have things written in 400 different places. And I have one notebook, and it's actually I'm very particular about this. I have my white page notebook where I do phone calls and other stuff. And then I have my yellow page notebook where I take notes during sessions. And then when I'm done with a session, I fold the page up. It's folded in half. The note is finished. But in addition to that indication that the note is finished, I also check it off in green glitter pen in my calendar.
Yeah.
So I have this series of checks. That is the note folded? No. Why not? Because it has relevant information. I need it to be quick and easy to find. Has it been checked off in my notebook? Because if it hasn't been checked off in my planner, like, that note isn't signed, it's not in yet. And so occasionally I'll go back and be like, wait a minute, I didn't sign, Timmy's note on Wednesday. Why is there no green check? And I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, it's done. I just didn't check it off. Let me check that off.
Right.
But that is the system that has worked for me, and it took a lot of effort. And in addition to that, I have a third way of keeping track of everything. I have an actual spreadsheet on my computer that my boyfriend and I whipped up where I have my clients' names, and then I have all of the activity that I can keep track. So like a no-show, a session, a call with the family, call with collaterals, therapists and whatnot, in-person contact, all the different things, and then the documentation so that I know exactly how much time I'm spending on each, how much time I'm supposed to meet each day. And what's been very helpful with that is that when I look back and I say, oh, okay, like I was only short like 20 minutes this week, perfect. And then I go look in our actual medical records and it's like, you were short 2 hours. And I'm like, but I'm not. And then I go back through and I, check everything and go, oh, I messed up here. And now I can get that fixed. So for me, having 5 different ways that I keep myself in check, that's what works for me.
Right.
Other people, that would be overwhelming for them. Some people, they just want one thing. But it's really about finding the specific thing that works for you. Autumn is saying that she wishes she could get organized. So Autumn, I would say your brain is putting you to sleep or dissociating because you don't, you're getting bored with organizing. Find a way to make it more fun. Find a way to make it more interesting, or alternatively, make it smaller. And I think that also ties into depression. It's tough to motivate yourself to do stuff. particularly when you're facing depression. Depression is a big, ugly monster that sits on your chest and tells you that you can't function. It's really hard to convince yourself to get up and go to work. Well, guess what? You don't need to convince yourself to go to work. You have to convince yourself to put your feet on the floor. And if you can get that one little step, like if organization is like convincing yourself that you need to purchase Post-it notes, well, you can do that. Pick ones that you enjoy. Yeah, I really love the black ones.
Yeah.
They're black like my soul.
My gosh.
But also,
So very short tangent, but I asked my son what he wanted for dinner tonight, and he said, your soul. I'm not kidding you. That's what he
yum,
said.
yum,
He
yum.
said, I want your soul. And I was like, joke's on you. I don't have a soul. He said, I know, because I already ate it. I'm like, what is this?
Oh, I love your kid.
He's 6. Sorry, continue.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Nice. The other thing is I like shit to be cute. So like my personal opinion is that Post-it note brand Post-its are the superior Post-its. They stick to everything and they never let go unless you want them to. But if you don't mind them not sticking to things really well, like knockoff like Chinese brand stuff is super cute. So like feathers. There we go. Feathers. I have a triple layer with little birds.
Oh, that's cute.
I have a triple layer with a deer.
Mhm.
All the way some more feathers. I have some fun. This one's Mercury. And I have Pluto. I have the moon. The moon in black and white specifically. I like that one. And then I have some little Totoro ones.
Aww.
They're so cute because they're cute. They make me happy. So like having those little things that make you excited to use them can help.
Yeah. Well, and I think what Bite Mark said is also a really big piece of it, because she said, I feel like a lot of finding a successful system is giving yourself permission to give up on pieces that don't work for you. And the pieces that might work for someone who is neurotypical might not work for someone who has a mental illness. And so it's like, you can tell me that a bullet journal is the end all be all, but I fucking tried it and it doesn't work. What does work for me is like writing myself little notes or texting things to my sister or telling someone something out loud. Like, but those things might not work for everyone else. So you have to really find what works for you, and giving yourself permission to realize, hey, this doesn't work for me, like I think is a big piece of that.
Yeah. Fiona mentions that her depression sits in her skull like a horrible foggy blanket around her brain. Yes. I'm very grateful that I don't suffer from depression. I don't experience depression because I don't know how I would function. I've already got anxiety and ADHD. Like I don't need more. I'm good with this. Depression a lot of times can really get in the way of functioning. And so it's even with, if you have trouble organizing, getting yourself motivated in some way. I have cute Post-it notes and glitter pens. It works for me. I spent a good 30 minutes just starting my search in October, November, looking for my new next year's agenda. I've had the same agenda for several years because I switched it up once and the pages were significantly thinner, and I suffered for a whole year because it was cute, but I did not like the thickness of the pages. They weren't thick enough. They felt very flimsy. So I've gone back to this tried and true purple thing. I don't know, it's got swirly bits.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like a mandala, but it works for me, and it's set up the exact way I want. I found what works and I stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, giving yourself that permission, like Mark said, to get rid of the things that don't work, and holding on to the things that do, and just trying to keep as many of the bits as you can. Sometimes finding the motivation to actually get started is hard. Personally, for me, my motivation for getting myself organized at work was that homegirl got bills to pay, and she cannot do that if she does not have a job.
Yeah. Yep.
So there was the external motivation of, haha, I don't want to be unemployed. Sometimes it's internal motivation, which is the internal drive, something in you saying, hey, let's get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need the external motivation, like you might lose your job. Or if you think about like little ones, sticker charts. You have kids, you ever used a sticker chart?
Yep.
Oh yeah, because there is nothing like getting a sticker. And it just goes on a piece of paper, like whatever. But for kids like that, oh, they love those stickers.
Yeah.
And so that is,
Hey, I love the stickers, okay?
I know, right? It's that external motivation. I will give you a really insignificant thing that you like if you do the thing. And one of the things that we see a lot of is that getting kids to be internally motivated starts with external motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And external motivation doesn't even have to be like a prize. So Miss J. McCarthy's leaving, but I'll use her as an example. She has a 2-year-old. I love her to pieces. She's the sweetest little thing. Her motivation for using the potty like a big girl is a fist bump.
Nice.
It costs nothing.
Yep.
No stickers, no cookies, no candies, just a fist bump and a great job. That's what's motivating for her.
Yeah.
For my nephew, his motivation for using the potty like a big boy were gummy bears that came from a jar labeled choking hazards.
Yep.
And if he went pee-pee in the potty, he got 1 choking hazard. If he went poop in the potty, 2 choking hazards. And so he had that external motivation of, if you do this thing, you get you get your little prize.
Yeah.
Well, eventually that becomes internal motivation. Like as adults, I don't get a prize every time I go poop in the potty. Nobody gives me a high five when I walk out and goes, "Great job, you did it."
Can you imagine if someone did, though?
Well, so my nephew decided that anytime anyone went poop in the potty, they got a choking hazard. So my brother was getting a lot of external, "Daddy, did you go poop? You get a choking hazard."
That is funny.
But, outside of having a toddler, we don't get that external motivation. You know what we get? Not pooping our pants.
Right.
So that is enough motivation.
Yeah, well, and like for me, and here's the thing, like with this whole conversation, like you're hearing all of these things that work for different people, and I think that's the main message, is just that what something that works for one person might not work for you, and it's okay for it not to. But for me, like the main motivation to be a highly functioning depressed person is, thank you so much for that, Slay. I appreciate you. The main thing with that is that I have kids and I have to be a parent, and also I like you don't want to be unemployed. So it's like I have to show up to work. I have to do all of these things, or else I'm not going to have a job, and I don't want that to happen. And also, like, I have to be there for my kids. So it's one of those things. Autumn said, don't get me started on bullet journals. Same with mindfulness or meditation. Tried it, doesn't work. And then for me, it's going to have to be something digital, because one of my main abiding special interests is technology. And I think that it's a beautiful time that we live in right now for technology, because everything is so technology focused, that I hope that another thing that comes out of all of this are just more options for organization as a neurodivergent individual. Because it's like, sure, you can say that everyone's just going to work from home and learn from home, but shit, that's hard for some people. You know what I mean? So
it is. Yeah. I have noticed that it seems to be harder for extroverts than introverts. I love working from home. If I never had to go to work again, that'd be super. Like, okay, I will admit there are things that I miss. Like, I miss having chit chats with my coworkers and like popping into the office and saying hey. And I miss seeing my work wife's lovely face every day. Although she's left, so I can say this. Broke my heart. She's only working 3 days a week because she has to pay for daycare. So she works from home twice a week with her babies, who I also love. But like there are things that I love about being in the office, but I really I like being able to walk down to my kitchen and just like pull things out of my fridge and like whip up a burrito or like make myself a hot dog. And Bite Mark talks about having everyone home all day. boyfriend is an essential worker, so everyone home all day is me and 2 dogs and a guinea pig, and it's great. There are fewer people around me all day now that I'm working from home, and I love it. But for other people who have kids or spouses
Yeah, my
who
kids
are
are home all
unemployed
the
or working,
time.
it's a lot. So, that's something that works great for me, but isn't necessarily going to work great for everyone else.
Yeah.
And who was it? Autumn was saying she could heck with sticker charts. Yeah, I mean, if that's what motivates you, then like go for it. The other
Yeah.
thing that I have found really helpful is making it less unpleasant. So like, I can't make some things fun. I cannot make doing notes fun. I cannot make doing documentation
Yeah.
fun. It's awful. It is the worst part of my job. You want me to sit and talk to families straight for 8 hours a day, 5 days? Yes, let's do it. Oh no, you want me to break that up by writing session notes and doing this stuff? No,
Right.
no. Homegirls don't need. So having ADHD, somebody,
Sticker
anyone
charts.
in my brain? Sticker chart.
Yes, there you go.
Sticker chart? Okay,
We'll get back there. It's okay. This happens to me all the time.
y'all, the meds wore off around 7 o'clock, and I started this around 9:30. So bear with me. So having, hold on, sticker charts, making it more fun. Making it more fun.
Yes.
I hate doing the dishes. I cannot stand it. It's yucky. My hands get yucky and slimy because there's nasty, slimy things. Well, I pop in headphones. I got noise canceling, so boop, there's that. Can't hear anything anymore. And then I listen to a book, or if I'm doing notes. And actually, when I hopped on with you, you probably caught some of my blasting of Hosier. I don't know what. So like I could climb that man like a tree. I went and saw him in concert, and I told my boyfriend, I was like, so bad news, I will be getting married to Hosier tonight. He said, "Let me know," but I have a new husband happening.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to his music, for me, it's very calming. It's like great background music for me. One of my girlfriends actually found a playlist on like Pandora or something called Sea Shanties for Thoughts. And I was like, oh yeah, no, this is really good background music.
Yeah.
So like I'll put that on. For a while, cello was my focus music. And I had a Pandora station that was just like 2 cellos and that sort of instrumental stuff that was really good. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it was like Sea Shanties for Thoughts. So having a book that I'm interested in, or and I've read a lot of books, or I've listened to a lot of books while doing dishes, and that makes the time go by faster. I also do it when I'm cooking or listening to podcasts.
It doesn't necessarily
and
make the
listening to
task better, but it makes your environment better around doing the task.
Yes, and that's really what you need to do, is set yourself up for success in some way. So like, you hate cleaning the bathroom because it's yucky and people pee there. What's going to make it less awful to do? It's not going to be fun to do, but what's going to make it less awful? And so
assign it to a kid. Oh,
okay. Can I borrow one?
Yes, I will ship you one.
Great. One that's good, like one that's good at
I can't guarantee that.
Well, so my boyfriend and I have worked out, like, I'll wash the rest of the bathroom, but I don't want to deal with the potty. Like, yucky things happen on the potty. That's gross. So I asked him to do it, and he's willing for the most part.
Yeah.
But also, we both forget about these things and run out of time. So I actually stuck a Post-it note on the inside, one of my little black Post-it notes. I stuck it on the inside of the toilet lid. So when he lifts up the seat, it says, please clean the potty when you have a chance. And it's like, this is not passive aggressive. I just don't want to forget. And I know that I will forget. And I like signed it, heart, kiss. There we go. And it was fine. But like, for me, that was the thing that made it less horrible, is I have music and I don't have to wash the potty. I'll put the new cleaning tab in the tank. That's fine. I will wash the sink. I'll wash the mirror. I'll wash the tub. I'll wash all that stuff. I just don't want to deal with the part where people do their business.
Yep.
And so, finding a way to make it less unpleasant, because things aren't going to, like, chores that you hate or like activities that you hate that you have to do, they're not going to be fun. They're not going to be easy and better. But if you can make them less awful, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. So that leads in really well to the next question, but I want a couple things that Autumn said. So Hosier said trans rights. That's excellent, because I am so sick of people saying not trans rights. And I'm like, so I'm glad to hear that there's another person who came out for trans rights. That's great. It's like human rights are human rights. Whatever.
FYI, trans women are still women.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Always divert workload. Yes, Slay. Absolutely. When possible. And then also Autumn said, I've been slowly realizing that I'm probably disabled enough that I'm going to need to outsource cleaning. I don't outsource daily cleaning, but I do have a cleaning crew that I love that comes in once a month and does a really deep clean, because my children are messes. And even if I clean the kitchen and the bathroom and everything every day, it's still a hot mess. Like, I'll clean the floors and an hour later they're completely dirty again. I don't know how they do it. It's magical. But yeah, like, if you can't do it and you can afford to outsource it to either to a company, or if you have a partner who's willing to help you, like, those things are valid solutions for serious.
Well, and something. So I'm throwing Miss J McCarthy on the bus here. She's got 2 kids, and one of the things that she would treat herself before the birth of each of her kids was that she and her husband paid to have someone clean their house.
Yeah.
And like, I'm talking like scrubbing the baseboards and like all of that, clean their house.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. She's like, yeah, like this woman, she was pregnant too. And I was like, are you sure you should be doing this? And she's like, it's fine. But this woman, she paid $90 to have this woman like completely deep clean her whole house before the baby was born. And she's like, you know what? Like, it was worth it. She's someone that we've, had clean before, and she's thorough. She's excellent. She's, a nice person to have around. And I was like, for $90, like, if I only had to pay $90 a month to have someone clean because I'm a disaster and I cannot, like, I'm just not I'm a homemaker. I will bake for you. I will craft for you. I'm very bad at cleaning. And having 2 dogs that shed like it's their jobs, makes it all the worse.
Mm-hmm.
But like, the idea of being able to pay someone $90 to have them come clean once a month, and then I just have to maintain that feels a lot more manageable. And like, that's right now, like, nobody's coming to my house. No one's coming to my house. I have no one except for the people who live here has been in my house since at least March. Nobody's come to my house. But like,
I only let the cleaners in because they're literally using cleaner. So that's the only reason they get to come in.
Like, there is no shame in outsourcing tasks that you cannot do.
Yep.
And whether it's because you just are very bad at it, like me, or because you actually have, a mental or physical disability that makes it difficult, there is no shame in outsourcing and asking for help.
Right.
Because why do we keep, our loved ones around if not to support us and, to support them when they need it and when we need it.
Yeah.
If I turn to my boyfriend one day and I say, haha, I'm going to be crying all day. And it's not good. I can say, you know what? Can I just get some Wendy's? I'm very tired. I'm very hungry. I just want to eat some Wendy's. And he'll go get me Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? I need that at that moment.
Yeah.
And in to reciprocate that, like, if he's sick I'll sometimes set up like a little tea station because he likes to sip on tea when he's, got a sore throat and whatnot. So I'll set up a little tea station so he doesn't even have to get out of bed. He's got his little sugar dish and he's got his cup and his little tea bags and the hot water kettle there to like just hit the button and away you go. And it's little things that you can do to help, but it doesn't have to be those little things. It can be bigger things like, I was just saying to Miss J. McCarthy, I said, hey, when COVID's over, y'all are going to go for a date and I'm going to come hang out with your babies because I know that they need a date and I love babies. It's kind of a win-win. I get snuggles. They get to go not be with their kids. And it's how I am helping her because I know that if I need help, she's there for me. Using the resources that you have, using the people around you. And if you are not lucky enough to be able to afford hiring a cleaner, are there loved ones nearby that will help you clean? Do you have a friend or a family member who loves to clean? Like I know there are some people I know who like cleaning, and I think there's something wrong with them, but whatever. If they like cleaning and if they want to help me, I am 100% down for that. Because, they know that I have things I like to do that I will gladly do for them for nothing. And it's that willingness to give and take and recognize that we are not islands. We are people and we need that community.
Yeah. So this is a community question I want to be sure to fit in. This is from Miss Fee. So she's here tonight, and she's also the one who requested this topic in general. So thank you, Fee, for requesting this topic. Yep. She says, I know forming habits can help because it kind of autopilots you into doing things, but sometimes, especially lately with daily habits, this kind of dread of monotony and resentment of the habit, just leading to more of the same sets in. So the perfect example of this for me is like brushing my teeth at night, because I used to be really good about brushing my teeth twice a day. I still brush them in the mornings, but whatever. But I have gotten to the point where I know I should brush my teeth at night. But right now I kind of feel like, what's the point? What's the point in brushing my teeth at night? I actually even a couple weeks ago was like, no, I'm going to start doing this again. This is going to be my habit again. And I did it for 3 days and then didn't do it anymore. So are there any ways to combat habit resentment?
Remember when we were talking not too long ago about internal and external motivation? Fee, my darling, you are not being internally motivated to do any of the stuff. Find a way to externally motivate. Whether it's treating yourself to stickers, give yourself a sticker, put it on the chart, whatever it is, or y'all know advent calendars. You have your little countdown to Christmas where you open the door and you get a piece of chocolate every day. You can make yourself a little advent calendar, and like every day that you brush your teeth before bed, you get a thing. I mean, chocolate.
Can it be chocolate?
Chocolate is not like a super great thing for like, I brushed my teeth. I'm gonna eat some chocolate.
Though.
It might be like, I brushed my teeth, I get this piece of chocolate, and you pull that chocolate down, put it on the table, and tomorrow morning that's like your start to the day is some tasty chocolate. Or like, oh, you get some gum. Right. reward your teeth with sugar. I have a really hard time getting through my notes, and like as I said, I had
better reward my teeth with
I had
sugar,
24.
right?
I had 24 notes to get done. And let me tell you, that is not like an hour-long task. That is a several hours task. And so I basically said, okay, if you finish 2 notes, then you get to go take the dogs for a walk and you get to go outside. Oh, when you finish these 2 notes, you can go have lunch. And so like I'll set a reward up. I mean, like if I get distracted and I go 2 hours and I still haven't eaten, like yes, I'm gonna go eat, and I'm not gonna stick with that thing. But that kind of holds me to a timeline of like, you can do this fun thing when this gets done. Or like, I have finished, I've gotten all but 3 notes done, and these notes should take me about an hour. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reward myself with 20 minutes of Animal Crossing because I can. And then I, give myself that thing that I want, that I enjoy. And then I go back and I'll set a timer. You have 20 minutes for this. And then, I'm in the middle of fishing or whatever. I finish what I'm doing and then put it aside and finish my note. And so giving yourself something external to make you want to do whatever dumb thing is there. Sophie says,
Yeah.
I feel like my problem with creating an external motivation is that I could just have the reward without doing the thing. But I'm sure the response to that is I need to figure out a way or a reason to hold myself accountable. So you are 100% right. And I've definitely had moments where I'm like, fuck it. I don't have to do any of these fucking notes. I'm going to bed. I'm going to go play my video games. It happens. We're not perfect. You are only human. You're doing the best you can. Some of it is definitely willpower and, forcing yourself to stick to a thing. Autumn says, oh, I'm not going to force myself to commit to 20 minutes of Animal Crossing or just one pick-to-cross puzzle. I also love pick-to-cross puzzles. I haven't done them in a while. I've been very into Animal Crossing. But, like, if you can give yourself that one thing, or set goals for yourself of like, oh, if I finish such and such, I get to watch this show that I want to watch tonight. Or, oh, if I get things done by 7, I'll have time to watch a movie tonight. And I really want to watch a movie, and that's really important to me. So it's finding the thing and then holding yourself accountable. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, is there someone else who can? For a long time, for me, that person was my work wife. I get distracted in my phone, and she goes, Elizabeth, do we need to put the phone in phone jail? Well, I know I need to put the phone in phone jail, but fuck you. I'm a big girl and I can do what I want. But then I've got, the angel on my shoulder going, girl, put that phone in phone jail. And I go, okay, let me put my phone in phone jail.
Yeah.
Because I'm being held accountable by someone else. And it's not out of, rudeness or judgment. It's out of love and a desire for me to be able to do well and do better.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the example of me not brushing my teeth at night, but like, there's no one who's going to hold me accountable for that, honestly.
Yeah.
And I could find things to motivate myself, but sometimes it's just hard. Like, sometimes it's just hard to do.
Well, your dentist will hold you accountable, but only every 6 months.
So, right. I mean, the other problem is, like, I have really good teeth. They're very stained, but they're actually really good.
Girl, who as an adult doesn't have stained teeth? We eat
I know.
those.
I know.
What do you
Well, it's like I drink a lot of coffee and I drink a lot of tea, and that's, that's just that. That's all you get. But yeah, I don't have a problem flossing or anything like that, but I just fell out of the nighttime habit and, going through a divorce, so my husband's not here to like be like, did you brush your teeth tonight? And my kids are all in bed, so they're not going to be like, hey, Mom, it's 1:00 in the morning. Have you brushed your teeth?
You know what? I actually I catch myself doing the same thing, and I'll say like, oh, it's like 1:30, and I haven't brushed my teeth yet. And I'll brush them in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
I'll just do it. Whatever.
Yeah, one of the things that I've tried to do, and this has worked in 2 ways. I try to make sure that I'm doing it at a reasonable hour, like brushing my teeth maybe at 11 o'clock when I'm done watching my show, because it's twofold. 1, my teeth are now brushed, and 2, I'm not going to grab that Oreo.
Right,
and
because
eat
you
an
just brushed
Oreo
your teeth.
for a little snickety snack in the middle of the
Right.
night, because it's like, oh, I gotta brush my teeth, and they're gonna not be clean if I eat the Oreo, and that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
So getting yourself into that routine where it's like, oh, okay, well, every day at such and such o'clock, I do this thing. Or I've gotten one of the things that I've gotten into the habit of with my dog, because she came to me with beautiful teeth. And I have to admit, I have not been the very best at keeping up with her dental hygiene. They still look pretty good, but they are not as sparkling and beautiful as when I got her. So I've gotten into the habit of every night before we go to bed, I get her toothpaste, and she loves it. Like, from day one, she was like, "You're gonna stuff some peanut butter flavor in my mouth?" Yes. Not a big fan of the brushing, but she doesn't care that much because it still tastes good. Like I said, she's sweet, but she don't. And so I go and I brush her teeth, and then I make her sit, and I give Moses, my very elderly dog, I give him his little treat because I'd make him sit, but I think he's gotten to the point where like his hips hurt because he doesn't really like sit anymore. He just kind of like squats a little and then like falls over. So it's like, oh baby, he's like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
He's very old. But I make Lizzie sit and wait, and then I give him his treat, and then I give her one of the greenies, which again she absolutely loves. And so we've sort of gotten into that routine where it may not be helpful to me, but it's helpful to her that we do the brushing the teeth right before bed. We do the little greenie, and then I crawl into bed and I go to sleep or play video games or scroll my phone, whatever. But I've gotten myself into that routine, and she's used to the routine. And a lot of it is just repetition, just like anything else. You do it enough times and it feels weird not to do it. You know, I'm on an anti-anxiety that I have the weird side effect for, where I clench my jaw when I sleep.
Yeah.
Never happened before. And then I realized that I was like, oh, and I'd wake up in the morning like, oh man, my jaw hurts. I clench my jaw when I sleep as a weird side effect of my med. And honestly, of all the side effects, that is the least awful it could be. So I've gotten into the habit that every single night I pop in my my night guard,
yeah.
and away I go. That's just, and it feels weird to not do that. And so once you've gotten into the habit of something, it feels really weird not to do it. And it feels wrong, like there's something missing if you don't do it. Building the habits, it is hard because you've got to get yourself going. Sometimes setting an alarm is enough that, you say, okay, I'm going to set an alarm for 10 o'clock every night. 10 o'clock, that's when I brush my teeth. And then my alarm goes off on my phone and it says, brush your damn teeth. And I go, I brush my teeth. And, maybe you say, oh, I want to push that back. I'm going to do it at like 11 because I'm in the middle of like eating a little snickety snack and I don't want to brush my teeth right now. Okay. But make sure that you force yourself to change that alarm and do it when that alarm goes off again.
Yeah.
And, it's nice. We all walk. I was about to be like, where's my phone? It's sitting in front of me scrolling. But it's nice to toothpaste with star shape and the glitter. Yes. That's fun.
I also need to know what a 3-sided toothbrush is. Like, I'm gonna have to look that up. I have not seen one of those.
I just use a regular one. I also use a water pick.
Sounds cool.
Which like massages my gums. And I don't use it all that frequent. I should use it every day. I use it much more frequently when I have a dental appointment coming up. And let me tell you, my dentist tells me that my teeth look great and I'm doing a great job flossing. And I'm like, thanks. I only do it like right before I come to see you. It's enough. That's enough to make it work. But like I use alarms a lot. I have alarms for everything. If I need to remember to like email someone something, I literally set an alarm in my phone.
Yeah.
If I need to remember to call someone, if I need to remember to ask someone a question, if I need to remember to do laundry, I will set an alarm in my phone that will go off and I go, oh, it's 8:15 and I meant to do this thing now. Well, now I can go
I set alarms for laundry all the time because I got tired of like putting a load into the washer and then forgetting it was there and coming back the next day and having to rewash it.
Well, I got real mad the other day, and it was just another example of like having a really short temper for no damn reason. There was a load of laundry in the washer because his name is Mosey. He's my Mosey Posey. His name is Moses. So I call him Mosey Posey Puddin' Pie, or Mr. Tippy Tappy Toes, because he tippy taps everywhere. So he wears diapers now because he's old. He has a lot of little piddle accidents. And like, it's great because he'll have them all in the same spot, other that they not need to be cleaned up. So he has little diapers that he wears, and it's just around his waist to, cover his junk so he can piddle and do his thing. And then those go in the wash. And like right now, like Isaac's throwing any clothes that he wears to work is going in the wash. Our fabric masks are going in the wash. All that like goes right in the wash. I'm like, all right, well, let me do this load and then, throw it over because Isaac has more stuff that needs to be cleaned. Well, I forgot that I had washed it. And I see him getting together clothes and stuff. I'm like, oh, right, I should move that stuff to the dryer. And I walk into the kitchen, and shoved in with all of these sopping wet laundry is his new dirty laundry. And I was like,
oh no.
I had to walk away because rational me was going, well, it's not the end of it. Like, whatever. It's not a big deal. Like, this is not a thing to blow up. Pandemic stressed me was going, are you absolutely fucking kidding me right now?
Yes.
You dumb fuck.
Right.
There was no need. So I was like, walking away.
Yeah. So laundry's a really good example of this for me too, beyond the brushing the teeth, because like I get to the point with laundry where I'm going like, why should I wash laundry? These children have clothes that they haven't worn in a long time. Like they'll just keep wearing clothes they haven't worn in a long time. It's fine. Like, why should I wash laundry when it's just going to lead to more laundry? So it's not that I don't do laundry on a regular basis, but it's like because I force myself to do it. But is there a way to get over kind of the resentment of certain chores, I guess?
Well, so how old are your kiddos?
One is 6, one is 13. She does her own laundry because she kept putting clean clothes into the dirty laundry. And I was like, honey, it's time you learn.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, the 6-year-old is probably not quite old enough to like do the washer himself.
Yeah, no, he helps fold, but yeah.
He can help fold. And it's a little bit of just sort of doling out those tasks of like, okay, your daughter, girl, if you're going to be washing clean clothes, then you need to be washing your own clean.
No, she does all of her own laundry now. She's good.
That's fine.
But even with my own clothes, because I'll get to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I'm down to, a couple of shirts, but dirty. Just keep wearing them for a couple days, that kind of thing.
So I have a system that I've worked out because I will just keep going and just throw the laundry in the hamper, Like, this shirt smells, throw it in the hamper. Oh, I still have shirts. It's fine. Well, then I start digging through because Lord knows I don't put away the laundry. It just sits in the laundry basket.
Right? Yeah.
And I dig through and I dig through and I dig through and I go, oh, no, I don't have underpants for tomorrow. Or like I'm digging through and I go, oh, no. Oh, that's my last pair of underpants. Because you know how like you have that one pair, you like your laundry day underpants.
Yes.
And I dig through and I go, there.
We're down to this one. Okay.
Here's a clean pair. We're good. I don't have to do laundry yet. But once you get to those laundry underpants, it's like, oh no. Now I have to do like, if I don't have clean underpants, how am I supposed to function? Like, how do I live my life without? Maybe not everyone is like that, but I am.
I am.
Have clean underpants. I will wear a dirty bra. I will wear a dirty shirt. I will wear jeans for a month straight. But if I don't have clean underpants on, it's a bad day.
Yeah. So I guess are there any tips for getting past the resentment of like, this is just more of the same as I'm doing it? There's going to be more of the same kind of thing.
That for me, that's dishes. Laundry I don't mind because I'm like, whatever, throw it in the washer and ignore it. And then throw it in the dryer and ignore it. And then throw it in a laundry basket and ignore it. it should go away, but it on occasion, like I'll be like, if you can watch your favorite show and you can fold laundry while you watch your show, right? And then I can get everything put away easy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, dishes is that like, why the hell do I bother? Like, I'm just gonna use them again. Well, I am partially motivated by, oh, I don't have any bowls for cereal
Right.
and I want to eat breakfast today. Oh well. Um, and part of it is, the obligation to I live in a household, my own tiny little society, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
contributing to that society. So there's, I guess, to sum it up, there's a little bit of like internal guilt, but it's the other thing that I think of is, have you ever read The Bell Jar? Okay, great book. Um, any of you who have read The Bell Jar, you will know what I'm talking about. Uh, the main character gets to a point where she's like, well, like, why do laundry? It's just gonna get dirty again. Why clean my sheets? They're just gonna get dirty again. What's the point? And so she just stops doing it. And that is part of her spiral down to mental illness, or continuing spiral into mental illness. And so occasionally I'll be like, but do you want to be that person? You don't want to be that person. So what do we need to do to make sure you're not that person? You need to listen to some Disney soundtracks right now? Girl, get it. That's what's going to make you do the thing. All right, then let's do it. Or like, wow, you've been staring at that laundry basket for 3 months and it has not gotten less empty. Why don't you put that away? How are we going to make that go away? What is a show you really want to watch right now? And you can only watch it if you're doing the laundry. That's yes,
Yeah.
good. That's our rule. You're going to follow that rule. And so I basically treat myself like a child and I give myself this little lecture of like, if you don't do this, you don't get to watch your show.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that works.
Yeah.
That, again, not going to work for everyone. And it's a
Right.
lot of trial and error. Things like trying to tackle it a little bit at a time. So again, for me, for dishes, I've got all the silverware, all the plates, all the bowls, all the pots, all the pans. And I look at it and go, you know what? I can wash this stack of bowls. And I wash the bowls and then I walk away. And then maybe I'll come back, after dinner and go, it would be really easy to just wash like all of the silverware. Like that's quick. That's easy. I know I don't have a dishwasher, so like I got 2 dishwashers right
Mm-hmm.
here. So for me it's breaking it down into bite-sized chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Just like everything, like trying to get yourself organized. Break it down into a bite-sized chunk. Trying to get any task that you're trying to get done, when it seems too big, break it down into a bite-sized chunk. And that works for ADHD, that works for anxiety, that works for depression, that works for bipolar. Like that will work for anything. You have to figure out what your chunk size is.
Right.
So for me, my getting my ass out of bed in the morning, that manageable chunk is like, get yourself up into the potty. Well, if I have depression, that might still be too much. My manageable chunk with depression might be putting my feet on the floor. That's okay. You've reached that goal. Great job. And not like, oh, good job for you. You just put your feet on the floor. Like, no, you set a goal and you achieved it. Despite that little monster in your brain smothering you and saying, you just stay in bed forever. Or, nobody wants you around. No, you conquered that and you put your feet on the floor. And that is an actual, like, you had a goal, you achieved it, great job. Now
kind
that
of
your feet
recognizing and giving yourself the recognition of, yes, you have accomplished something. Good job. Yeah.
Yes. And not patronizing yourself. Because let's be honest, there are some days where So there are some days where I wake up and I go, you know what? I am up, I am dressed, and my nasty, greasy hair is going in a ponytail, and I'm just putting on extra deodorant because I do not have the spoons or the time to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to see anyone today.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter anyway.
Right.
And I give myself permission. And I talked to one of my clients about this. I said, give yourself permission to be gross one day, and that's okay. Don't give your permission to be gross 6 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
That's you being like, oh, I don't need to ever shower. No,
Right.
girl, you do. We all need to shower. It's about
Mm-hmm.
cleanliness and not smelling, but it's also about germs.
Yeah.
All those germs off of there.
Right.
But it's okay. Like, give yourself permission to not do a thing. If you every day make sure that like your makeup is on point, and one day you're just like, I just can't. Just give yourself permission to not do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
So Autumn said,
that
folding and
is
putting away the laundry is my bane. I've heard it's not too expensive to places. Wash and fold for you. I'm strongly considering. Yeah, absolutely.
again.
Belle, hello. Yeah, delegate for real. I don't have time for a shower during 16 hours of homework. Well,
Nope. Give
no.
yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be gross.
Mm-hmm.
Just for one day. Don't do it like 3 days in a row. You don't need that. Nobody needs that. But give yourself permission. And that's okay. Because if you give yourself permission to be gross one day, you can then forgive yourself for it and say, you know
Mhm.
what, that's okay.
Yeah.
I did it yesterday, but I got my homework done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's important, because now I'm going to get that A. And now I'm going to shower tonight. I can smell me, and I don't want to smell me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, and I think that's sort of the theme for all of this, is especially during this pandemic. And I cannot say this enough. I say this on Twitter. I say this to, my friends. I say this to my clients. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Be forgiving with yourself. You are going through a very difficult time, and it's okay to not be perfect all the time. It's okay to be a hot mess. That's fine. You're doing the best you can. And if you're gentle with yourself and you're forgiving with yourself, you'll be okay.
Yeah. Autumn said that she has trouble. She doesn't know how to break down tasks into chunks because it depends on executive functioning. Yeah.
Yep. So this is something I deal with a lot more with parents, because I work with adolescents. My clients are kids between the ages of 3 and 21. And so most recently, talking with a parent about their child who needs to clean their room, I said, okay, but do they know where to start?
Yeah.
And so sitting down with the parent, and we were able to come up with this plan with the parent where first that kid comes out and mom or dad says, okay, pick up all the clean clothes and put them in your drawers. And that is just the one task. That's all they have to do. So the kid goes in, does it, comes back, I did it. Parent goes in to check, make sure it's actually done. And then they go, okay, put all of your dirty clothes in the hamper. And the parent specifically chose to start with the clean clothes.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, and I do.
and-
We just went through an entire youngest room was a mess. And I took this big, those big like sweater bins that are they're really wide and kind of skinny. And so I took the lid off of one of those that he has under his bed and turned it over, and I would put things onto that. And I'd be like, okay, just put away the things that are on this. And then I'll put more things on there for you. So it was like, cause I would tell him to clean his room and he just didn't know, kind of same thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't clean my room. There's no way this is going to get done. I don't know what to do.
overwhelming.
It's never going to end. And of course in like 6-year-old drama fashion. So there's that too. But, breaking it down into smaller tasks. But he couldn't do that for himself. Like I had to, if I told him, okay, fill up the lid with all of these things, he still wouldn't know where to start. Like, I had to do that for him. So it was one of those things. Hoop's a
And
great idea.
yeah, if you can, to try to break things down into smaller tasks, if you yourself have a hard time with that, is there someone that you can turn to for support? Is there, kids have a parent who can break it down. Mom can turn over the little bin and put all the stuff on the bin and say, put it away. As adults, we don't necessarily have that.
Yeah.
But maybe we have a roommate or a best friend or, a boyfriend, girlfriend, they friend who can help us out with that. Maybe it is going to be your parent. You call up your mom or your dad and you go, hey, so you know how you know me best? I have this task that I need to get done and it's really overwhelming and I'm having a hard time breaking it down into like little steps. And especially with things like the room cleaning, I create a list and it's literally like the kid always follows the same routine. Clean clothes, dirty clothes, toys, stuffed animals, make the bed. Whatever the tasks are that we've broken it down, it always goes order, this is first, then second, third, fourth, fifth. You can skip things. So let's say all of your dirty clothes are already in the hamper. Okay, you go to step 1, clean clothes are put away. There are no dirty clothes, so you skip step 2, you go to step 3, which is put your Barbies away. Are no Barbies? Great. Step 4 is put the stuffed animals away. Oh, you have to put the stuffed animals away? Great. Put those away. And then step 5. But if you keep that consistent, and especially for kids, when you write it out and you hang it on the wall or on their door or on the inside of their closet, they have that consistent place to check where they can look and say, hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay, so Autumn, if your roomie is less functioning than you, they are not the person to turn to help you organize.
Yeah.
Find your organized friend, your organized sibling or family member, your organized coworker, whoever in your life is really good at organizing shit, and ask them. Because if you go to someone who can't organize, well, guess what? Now it's the blind leading the blind, and we're all just going to walk into traffic, and that's bad.
Right. Well, and like I had a really good friend who her house wasn't necessarily clean, but she loved helping other people organize. And she came over one day when I was having a really hard time and organized my entire pantry. Like she was just like, okay, and I have a really big pantry because, so she just
Don't touch my pantry.
Oh no, well, it was a total and complete mess, and she really took everything and like organized it completely. But if I went over and in return, I went over to her house and I was like, all right, girl, we're just going to work on your closet today because it's a hot mess. So it's one of those things that if you have a friend who might not be great at it themselves, that doesn't mean that they're not necessarily good at it with other people.
For others. Yeah. And Autumn, you don't have to have them touch your stuff.
Mm.
You can lay down those rules of like, look, I love you. I love that you're helping me. Don't fucking touch my shit. You can tell me what to move. You can tell me what to do. But so help me Jesus, if you touch anything, and you can lay that rule down and say, look, I really need your help and I want to do it myself. So tell me what to do. And if I need you to show me, I'll let you know. But like, just tell me what to do and I can do it. Or, especially right now when we can't necessarily go to people's houses or have people over, do a video chat, do a phone call, because you can, call somebody up and go, oh my God, my room's a mess. Like, I don't even know what to do. And then they can say, well, last time I was over there, like, you had just like this mountain of like garbage in the corner. Have you dealt with that? And you go, oh no. All right. I guess I should deal with that mountain. Okay. So the mountain's done. Now, like, but like so much more stuff. And then just walk through it with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's less that I want to do it myself, the more that I have no sense of object permanence outside of my own memory. So I recently learned that object permanence is an ADHD problem, and that was, as I mentioned, I've gotten pretty tuned into the ADHD Twitter. And so that's actually one of the things that I recently learned, that like object permanence, if I'm not looking at it, it doesn't exist anymore. And not in the sense of like, oh, peekaboo, I've disappeared, I don't exist because I hid behind my hands. But like the best example of this is I bought my sister. So my sister's an entomologist, loves her bugs, and so I kind of constantly Christmas shop. Like I Christmas shop year round. I don't do that whole like 5 days to shop. I basically give myself 365 and it's fine. But the problem is that I found these great plush bugs, giant beetles. They looked realistic. They were really cool. She was going to love them. I bought them. It was like March or April. And they were for Christmas or her birthday. One is December 25th. The other is January 1st. So like they're basically the same thing.
Right.
So I had a long time that I had to remember where they were. So I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in a safe place, and then it'll be all fine. And I will have them for Christmas. And I put them in a safe place. And then round about probably October, I was like, shit, I haven't got my sister a Christmas present yet. What am I going to get her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, turns out that system, the shopping early worked great for me. What was not working was that I was putting things in a safe place and then forgetting about, because I didn't see them, so they didn't exist.
I do the same thing.
So I actually have a running list on my phone now where as I find things, either I find things that I'm going to buy or I find things that I have bought, and I write down in my phone what they are. Because if I say, oh, plush bugs, I'm going to be able to picture them and go, oh, right, I stuck those in the Christmas card basket, and they come out at Christmas, and there they are, ready to go, which is incidentally where I hid those. Because, I was going to pull them out at Christmas and be like, man, look, there's that present that I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So like giving yourself additional ways to remember. And, one of the things that I was very guilty of as a child was I forgot about it and I didn't really need it anymore. And then I found it was like, but what if I need it later? Kind of like a Depression era person with newspapers. Like, okay, it's starting to rot, but like, what if I need it later? You don't. You don't need it later. You haven't needed it for a year and a half. Throw it away. Donate it. Get rid of it. Not the safe place. Yeah, bite mark. The safe place is never a safe place.
No.
Actually, I have figured out there is one safe place in my house. It is literally my safe, and it is where I put the real important stuff. Social security cards, the birth certificates, the like vaccination stuff for my pet. So like that's my safe place because it's safe and I know where it lives. I recently remembered that I had stuck something in a safe place and I've lost it.
Yeah, I put things, I'm like, oh, I'm going to need this. Let's put it on this top shelf in this drawer, in this cabinet, so I won't mess with it, and then I'll remember magically where it is when I need it at the exact moment, and then I completely forget and wind up with like 5 of them.
Yep. Autumn mentioned that she probably will need an inventory. That's not necessarily a bad idea for like important stuff. For important stuff, it's good to keep track of it. I have an outlandish number of books, like truly obscene. Like when my boyfriend and I moved in with each other, his friend was helping us move, and he was like, "Dude, you should have checked closets before. Like, you never date a girl who reads." Because I had an entire closet just packed full of boxes that were packed full of books.
Half of my garage is boxes of books.
So one of the things that I've been doing
that I can't get rid of.
Why would you get rid of that?
Exactly.
I don't understand.
So many people have been like, it's okay, just donate them to a library. And I'm like, I got these whenever the library was getting rid of their books.
Like, where do you think I got these? So going back to Goodreads, that's a great place to inventory your books because you
Mhm.
can literally scan the barcodes and like,
Yep.
bam, there's your book. So like if I need to know what like manga I have and what I don't, or like I need this next one in the series, I've lost track of that. And part of that is because I was not able to get all of my books into Goodreads, and that's something as I get through them. I'm sorry, no,
Fahrenheit
we're
450 here.
I'm sorry. I'm canceling you right now. No, we're not friends. How dare you? How very dare you? But if you have a way to organize like that, like Goodreads is great for that. You can organize all of your books. You don't actually have to be able to look at them. You have the app on your phone. You can just pull it up. If you have like things like the Christmas gift, I can't
I
do
know.
that right now. I can't.
You just gotta not look. It's okay.
You're killing me. I can't.
But yeah, like
So-
inventories, spreadsheets, whatever it takes,
especially those important things. Philosophy textbooks, how dare you? I thoroughly enjoyed philosophy. Now, if you want to burn some chemistry books or like some math books, I'm not going to
Yeah.
about that. Or I'm going to say something controversial. Some Twilight books. I hear those are good fuel. But like, you don't need to inventory every single thing you own.
Yeah.
But if you have important things that you want to keep track of, know where they are. Have a specific closet. Get a friend who is good at organizing and have them like mark bins for you to put all of your stuff in. That like all of my Autumn, I'm gonna get to that, honey. I will.
Oh
I
yeah.
have thoughts and opinions.
I'm so sad about
I have thoughts and opinions that
I loved the
I
books, but she's such a
as Riley Smurl said, a turf on a nerf. You've heard about on a shelf. How about turf on a nerf? So the being able to like keep track of everything in a safe place. Knowing that like all of the Christmas gifts are going to get put here. All of the all of the things that I have to like donate or that I'm like saving as like I'm going to fit into these later, or I'm going to do this craft project later.
kind of generalized categories.
Setting up in like one heap at a time. So like if you're going to deal with the like unfinished crafts heap, figure out what those are and then like label it like you're moving. Put them in a box, label it so you know what it is. And even like if you get those like clear tubs, like the clear Tupperware thing, I have some, but they're hard to get at. Those can be really good for organizing and keeping yours, because then you can also see into them and they stack nicely. They're easy to organize. But
I think also the thing that Fee said, she said, the thing I always try to think when I'm putting something somewhere is, will this make sense to me, and not where do people normally put these things is really important too, because some people might say, okay, well, Christmas presents go in the closet. Well, if that doesn't work for you and you're like, well, then I will never remember them, then don't put them in the closet. Like, if you're like, okay, well, coffee mugs always go in a cabinet, but you're constantly, leaving coffee mugs elsewhere, like rearrange things so that wherever you're putting your coffee mugs is where they officially go, kind of thing. So I would also say, like, don't be afraid to go outside of what's considered normal. Because
you have to find your normal.
Yes, it can be normal in your house. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes your normal is everyone else's normal. I went and stayed at the boyfriend and I went and like rented a giant fucking house with a bunch of his friends it was like a ski lodge resort thing, but like during the summer. So it was off season, so it was much cheaper. And I walked into the kitchen and they had two of everything. They had the huge stove, but they had two huge stoves, two full like griddles, two fridges, two up the whole 9 yards. And I walked in and I went, I just want a fucking plate. Where if I was a plate, where would I have put if this was my kitchen, where would I put those plates? And the first cabinet I went to, I was like, this is where the plates live. Oh, the plates! Where will the silverware live? It would live there. And I opened up, there's the silverware. I was like, yes. this kitchen is organized like my brain. And sometimes you find that, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. You don't have to, you don't try to like sink money into an organizing system if you don't know if it'll work. Start with what you already have and work from there. Or start with things that already work for you and adapt what you have to work with that. If you think that you might want to use, plastic tubs for everything, we'll start with boxes. Those are free. Go to any dumpster and you can get cardboard boxes for free behind the liquor store, behind the grocery store. Go to the Walmart or whatever store. They all have a big dumpster that's just cardboard boxes.
Liquor store especially, because their boxes are nice and thick.
They are, and they're sturdy.
Yes. Yeah, some time and effort is fair too. Right.
Yeah, and it's something you have to have the time and energy and spoons for.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a quick tangent to the Harry Potter book.
Yes, go.
Okay, y'all. A lot of us grew up on those and they meant a lot to us, and that is still very valid. You can like the work without supporting the author. And if you think about some of the other great literature out there, people still like Cthulhu, but H.P. Lovecraft was apparently just like real bad dude. We can enjoy, what are some of the others? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But you don't have to like the author. There are a lot of authors that now, like back in their day, they were great. They were just as racist as everyone else, and that was fine because that was the time. But now we know better, and we're recognizing that, and we're saying, hey, you know how you were super racist in that book you wrote? Yeah, that's not okay. You can appreciate the work, you can enjoy the work, but you don't have to support the author and say, oh, well, they wrote a great book, so they're a great person. So I love the Harry Potter books. They are very meaningful to me. I still have, this is my Harry Potter mug that my work wife got me. And at the same time, well, JK can go pound sand because ain't nobody got time for turfs. And so I like the work. I don't like the artist. And, keeping in mind that you can appreciate an important piece of art or literary work without liking or supporting the creator of
it. It doesn't necessarily translate into you supporting what the creator is for.
And,
yeah, I get that.
And we, looking at the books, we can criticize them and say, you know what? You say Dumbledore's gay, but at no point in the book does it indicate that. Like, you could do better. You really could do better. And so using that to criticize and promote, a deeper narrative or a deeper discussion of the works, knowing that this is where the author stands.
Right. Yeah, Fee, exactly. So she said, I love the Harry Potter adventure that happened in my brain when I was a kid, and reading them and experiencing them for the first time. I think part of the reason I haven't read them again as an adult is because I don't think I'd be able to divorce my experience from her shitty beliefs. I agree with that.
And that's okay. That's legit.
So I'm protecting my love for Harry Potter by not revisiting it. That's fair. Yep, absolutely.
And you can revisit it in your brain. You can revisit it in fan fiction, fan art, all that stuff without having to deal with, the turf on under.
Yeah. So sometimes you might not realize that you're in a bind until very last minute, which leads to getting kind of into your own headspace even more. And you can spiral until it's too late. So what can someone do to get back on track after they've found themselves in a situation like that crunches their time?
You've spiraled, you've reached the bottom of your spiral, and you've gone, oh shit, I have an hour and now I have 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You do the best you can. If it's a time crunch, like you had to get this done before the end of the workday and your boss is, up your butt about it, maybe you have to go to them and go, look, I was not able to get this done, and I can bang it out in 15 minutes and it can be a garbage heap, or I can get it to you tomorrow morning promptly at 9 a.m. and it can be good. which one would you prefer?
Mm-hmm.
Which for people can be difficult because that requires confrontation. And that's hard. Being able to be real about like what you're capable of and not holding yourself to unrealistic standards. You know, I have had times where and I hate confrontation. You sit me down with a client who's doing some dumb shit, I'll go, look, you're doing some dumb shit right now. But when you sit me down in front of my boss, I'm like, sorry, didn't mean to disappoint you. Okay. You know, I turn into this meek little muppet. Sometimes this number of fucks that I give hits negative numbers. And then I come into supervision, I go, and my supervisor goes, well, you have to get all this stuff done. Well, I can work 40 hours and not get it done, or I can get it done and work overtime. Which would you like? Or, I'll say, well, do you want the notes done on time or do you want the CANS assessment done? Because I cannot do both of those things. I do not have the time for that.
Yeah.
Which one is more important to you? And she says, you do the CANS. We'll let you slide on the notes. We'll give you some time on that. But turning to somebody else whoever it is that you're responsible to, whether it's a teacher because your assignment is going to be late, your boss, your supervisor, a client, I have had to say to clients like, I'm sorry, I know I told you that I was going to have this thing done at by Friday, and it's not. I had a number of crises. I'm really sorry. And I'm doing the best I can. If you're honest about what's happening with the people that you answer to, things can get a lot easier, and people tend to be more understanding. You will run into times where you say, look, I'm really sorry, I haven't been able to get this thing done yet. And maybe your boss or your client goes, are you fucking kidding me? I gave you such and such, and then the Karen comes out. And it's okay, my mom is named Karen. I asked her the other day, I was like, how do you feel about Karens? And she goes, I mean, I'm not a fan. I was like, oh, okay. But if you're straight with people, if you're honest with them about what's going on and why you weren't able to get the thing done, people tend to be more willing to work with you on that. Whereas if you walk in with excuses of, oh, my dog ate my homework, or, oh, I got a flat tire on the way here.
Right.
No. Just admit your mistake. Just say, you know what? I have a really hard time focusing. I've got a lot going on. I was really stressed and it didn't get done. And I'm really sorry. And I'd like to do this thing to fix that, make it better. If you're not responsible to anyone, maybe you have to have that conversation with yourself. You know what? You promised yourself. So like for me, I promised myself I was going to get my license stuff done. And then I didn't. And then I didn't. And I didn't. And I kept making excuses and I kept saying, oh, it's fine. I've been really stressed. I haven't had time for it. And there came a point where I was sick of the excuses that I fed myself. And I said, you know what? You've been really stressed and you're avoiding doing it because you're worried about failing. Here's what we're going to do to fix that. We're going to find someone who's going to hold you accountable. And because I love her to death, my work wife was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And my therapist was like, yeah, I will help hold you accountable. And that really helped me get things actually done.
And I think also, just because I have a really good example of this recently, there was this position within my company, I still haven't heard. So there's this position within my company that I really am interested in. And I was delaying and delaying and delaying until literally the last day. Like I had weeks to do this. Literally, it was the last day I could apply. And I kept delaying putting in my expression of interest. And so on the very, 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 very last day that I could do it, I sat down. Right. And I asked myself, I said, what is it? Like, why am I delaying on this? Like, what is bothering me? Yeah. And so I had the conversation with myself. I said, what is it? Self, what is it? And it wound up being that I was using a template that I had used before unsuccessfully. And that was kind of undermining, like in my own brain, every time I pulled it up, I was reminded that I wasn't successful in the last thing that I applied to. And so I wound up scrapping that and being like, well, fuck it. I'll just start from scratch, and started from scratch and got it done in like an hour. Like, no big deal. So it's one of those things. Sometimes I think also if you just examine what it is that you're dreading doing and what it is that's blocking you, sometimes it's the most random shit. Like, I go back to the same templates for everything. I have a template for a resume, for cover letter, for all sorts of stuff. And I just use them over and over because they've worked in the past. And if I hadn't had that conversation with myself to say, self, what is it? What's your fucking problem right now? I probably wouldn't have applied.
Yeah, and I mean, I've actually run into that. I have for work, there are certain forms that we have to use constantly, and there are certain ones that I just hate. Like somebody else designed them and they did a bad job. The best example I can think of is the safety plan that we use. It's a dumpster fire. Like it's really just it is a massive burning pile of poop. And like at its core, it's great. But it was very badly implemented. So I went through one day, I was like, I can't fucking handle this anymore. I have nothing on my plate, so I'm going to do this thing. And I reorganized it. And then I mailed it out to the entire office. And I said, hey, I made this. I fixed it. It's better now. And so now it's organized so that like everything is neatly organized. And, you know, all the things are in a font that makes room and is legible. And you've got like individual, it used to be that it was like one large box to just shove the information in. Well, now you've got what are the triggers to the escalation? What are the coping skills? What are the steps to take? And they're all organized into their own neat little boxes. And it makes it easier to read. It makes it easier to fill out. And it's all around an easier process. So now when I go in to do it, I'm like, this is easy. Like I can do this. This is fine. And it overall, it makes it a much easier to manage process.
Yeah. Autumn said, I think that's where being autistic undermines me because I can't always connect to what exactly is holding me back on things. Yeah, I don't. Sometimes it's hard for me to have that conversation without having autism, so I can only imagine how hard that complication makes it.
I have had that conversation. I've had times where it's hard to have that conversation with myself, or like a coworker is having a hard time having that conversation. And so the nice thing about working in an office with a bunch of trained therapists is that you have people who have no fear or shame in calling you out on your bullshit and who can do it in a supportive and loving way.
Yeah.
If you have a therapist, that is a great conversation to have with them. You know, I'm lucky in that I'm surrounded daily by therapists, and I can, you know, turn to my office mate or, you know, one of my other friends in the office and go, hey, can I talk to you about a thing? And we shoot the shit a little bit, and you know, I say, you know, I've got this problem, and I like, and they may say, well, what's getting in the way? And I go, well, I don't know. And then they call me on my bullshit and they point out what's getting in the way, and I get grumpy because how dare they? I'm sorry. Did they think they're my therapist? Don't think so. But because we have that good relationship, we can call each other on our stuff and know that it's coming from a place of love and support. So being able to have that conversation with someone in that position, or if you have a close friend that you can have that conversation with who, you know, can call you on your stuff. Okay. So if you're spending the whole hour talking about how the week went and it's just like shooting the shit, that's some frou-frou stuff. Maybe you're avoiding some things. Maybe you've reached maximum, you know, clinical benefit with that particular therapist. Maybe things are just kind of slow right now and that's okay. Or maybe you've had a really shitty week and you've needed to process that week. Sometimes because I fall into that with my own therapist where it's like, I'm just kind of like things are bopping along. Like, let's talk about our dogs. So sometimes when there's like a thing that I want to talk about with my therapist, I will specifically write a note and say like, this is the thing that I need to talk about.
I'll even email mine. I'll even email my therapist and be like, hey, this week make me talk about this, because I can say, like, I can put that in an email and send it to her. I can't say it to her face to face. Like, but I can send it to her in an email and then she'll bring it up, So
Yes. And you can't tell her, but you can tell her to call you on it.
yes.
Autumn, if everything is shitty and you need a lot of processing, that's okay too. It might be
Yeah.
good to then sit down with your therapist and go, look, I have a lot of stuff that I need to talk about. And would it be helpful to have more than one session that week? Would it be helpful to have, if you're only seeing them once a month, or if you're only seeing them every other week, would it be helpful to increase the number of sessions? Would it be helpful to say, you know what? Can I have can we just this week, can we just make it a double? Like, is it possible to schedule for like an hour and a half or like 2 hours instead of just one? Like, I have a lot going on and I really need to process. And also I have this other one thing that I'm not getting it done, and I don't know why I'm not getting it done. And I can't get myself to tell myself why I'm not getting it done. I need somebody to talk to me about it. Seeing about really getting whatever your need is met. Because if you tell your therapist, can we just every 2 weeks have 2 sessions? Can once a month I have a double, or we'll do 2 hours instead of one. Most therapists are willing to be flexible around what their clients need. We are here to be helpful. And if I'm telling you, sorry, I don't have time for you, that's not helpful.
Yeah. So I think that we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and I know that it's pretty late for you. So I want to kind of
I don't usually go to bed till 1 because I'm up playing video games.
Well, I know
I have a late one.
I'm the same.
Till 11 tomorrow. I'm good. I feel you. I appreciate that.
I just wanted to kind of check on energy levels and everything. So
I did really want to answer one of these questions.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think that two of them kind of fit together. About, is someone with depression who finds themselves facing that demotivation actually just lazy? And then also, what are some common misconceptions you hear from clients about laziness?
I love those two questions because I hear all the time, like, as I've said before, I have chronic depression. And a lot of the time it's like, well, why are you just lazy? And it's like, okay, you don't understand.
Yeah. And I've had to explain to clients why they are not actually lazy. And I've had to explain to coworkers, because in my office, there are several different roles. You have the in-home therapy teams, which is a master's and a bachelor's level clinician. And then you also have what's called an ICC, which is an intensive care coordinator. We kind of joke that we're adult babysitters at that point. As an ICC, your job is to talk to the school, the parent, the doctor, the psychiatrist, the therapist, the in-home therapy team, the mentor, everybody. Anyone who is anybody with this kid, you better be on the phone with them, and you're going to have a giant meeting with them every week. Yeah, lazy is a neurotypical construct. But you're going to have a meeting with all of them every month, so that everyone sits down and we all say, okay, what are all of our jobs and how are we working on this one family's goal? So if the family's goal is for the kid to go to school, every person involved needs to identify what they're doing to meet that goal.
Right.
And if I'm saying, well, I think it's more important to really focus on the fact that the kid's not doing their chores. That doesn't fucking matter. That's not what the family wants to work on. They're not motivated to do that. So it keeps everyone on task. Tied to that, much like there's the bachelor level clinician for the in-home therapy team, we also have what's called a family partner. And they are sometimes educated, in one with some form of a college degree. Sometimes their education is just the fact that they have had children and they have worked through the system themselves and they have learned it inside and out. And even if they don't have a college education, their education is absolutely invaluable. Sometimes, though, they don't fully understand mental illness. And so, I've had parents that are not doing the things they're supposed to do because depression gets in the way. And I look at that and I go, oh, wow, your depression's really bad. And that's what's preventing you from doing this. But the family partner who may not have a lot of experience with depression is going, well, why is the parent so lazy? And at that point, I sit down and I say, hey, they're not being lazy. Let me give you some information about depression and how it impacts people. It's not that they're lazy, it's that they are physically incapable in this moment of doing the thing. And so, you have that conversation and you help them realize what that is, what that looks like, how it's going, and that light bulb flicks and they go, they're not lazy. It's the depression. And if we fix this one thing, that'll make it easier for them to, okay. And so it's really, it's not that you are lazy. It's that something is getting in the way of you being successful.
Mm-hmm.
And what is getting in the way? Is it that, you are perpetually exhausted and achy because of your depression? That it's, as some of you may know, it is very real. There are actual, real, physical
Yep.
sensations that come with depression. And you may be so tired and in so much pain that you cannot function. Well, guess what? No, you're not going to get up and get dressed and do the dishes and take your kid to soccer practice. You are in pain. Well, what's getting in the way right now? You're in pain. What can we do to help with the pain? Well, maybe you just need to hop in a hot shower, and that'll sort of help some of the aches and pains. Now, are you going to get dressed and go take your kid to soccer practice? Hell no. You're probably going to put your pajamas back on and go back to bed. But you took a shower and that helped a little bit. And so being gentle with yourself, being forgiving with yourself, recognizing that this is not a fatal flaw. This is, you have an illness, and right now it's really tough, and it'll get better maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. And just recognizing that you're doing the best you can right now with what you have. And, misconceptions around laziness, honestly, a lot of it is just a lack of education on depression. You get a lot of like their teenagers, oh, they're so lazy. And I'm sitting there going, no, your kid has depression. That's why they don't do their homework. That's why they don't go to school. That's why they spend literally all day asleep. They're not lazy, they're depressed. And at this point, the therapy isn't helping. I think maybe they need medication. And the parent goes, well, I don't have to. Well, then stop complaining about it. You can address the need, which is to seek medical help.
Yeah.
Or you can deal with the fact that your child is lazy. And, that's a place where I push and I say, okay, you can't get them to the therapist or you can't get them to the psychiatrist. What can I do to make that happen for you? Sort of that used car salesman. How do I get you in a new therapist today?
Yeah.
And so, it's really about, from my perspective, it's removing the barriers. Sometimes I've explained to clients spoon theory that, today you've used 10 spoons. Bad news, you only have 7. Tomorrow you have 4 spoons.
Yep.
I did do some math.
Don't make me do math.
I'm not a therapist
Like,
because I'm good at math,
wait,
friend.
-4.
I'm not good at math. So, well, tomorrow you only have 4 spoons. Good luck. What are
Yeah.
you going to do? Oh, you're going to be gross and greasy and you're going to live it. I was like, live in your filth. I was like, what was the phrase that I used with that client? You live in your filth. And so you give yourself permission to live in your filth because it will cost you 2 spoons to have a shower and get dressed and get your makeup on. So girl, live in your filth. But you can have breakfast. That's only half a spoon. Great. You got your kid to school. That was 3 spoons. Wow, you have half a spoon left. What are you going to do with that half a spoon? Are you gonna clean your house? No. You're gonna save that spoon for when you have to cook dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And you're gonna do your darndest with that half a spoon. Even if your darndest is calling for pizza, you overspent your spoons last night. You don't get to overspend them again. And so making sure that they understand that they only have a limited amount of energy. And that's not just a non-neuro or a neuroatypical thing. That's a human thing. Every human being, every animal on the planet has a certain amount of energy that we can burn each day. We can only burn so much. And so, when you're trying to overspend your energy, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a mess. And then you are going to have people telling you that you're lazy. And that's the point at which, I have the flexibility, because I go into people's homes normally, not right now, that, if your mother is there telling you how lazy you are, oh girl, no, I'm going to sit down with her and we're going to have a talk about what depression looks like and why you're not lazy. You're doing the best you damn can. And I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Just like the I don't know how people are pronouncing it. I just keep saying BIPOC, the Black Indigenous people of color. I just keep saying BIPOC because it makes sense to me. It's not their job to educate each and every person about all the different history and whatnot. It's our job to educate ourselves. Well, guess what? As a non-neurotypical person, it's not your job to educate everybody.
Right.
Let me do it. Send them a link, send them to their own therapist, whatever. Make that somebody else's job. You don't have the fucking spoons for that. That's fine. And so I will take on that role because I love talking about mental health. You want me to explain how the brain works? Let's go. I'll draw pictures. And so helping people understand that. The other piece is with self-care. And I think this ties into that laziness. I got a lot of, oh, well, that's selfish. I'm sorry. It's selfish to want to bathe. It's selfish to want to be able to eat a meal without it being thrown in your chest. It's selfish to want to get your nails done. No. I mean, it's selfish if you're getting your nails done and your kids are, in the bedroom on, covered in dirt and grime with clothes that don't fit them anymore and you're wearing, the latest fall fashion. Yes, that's selfish. That's also neglect.
Right. That's there is a difference between selfish and neglectful.
If you're so, I've had a really difficult week. My kids are fed, they're clean, they're happy, they're healthy, and I'm at my wit's end. I'm going to fall apart. Get your nails done. Go watch a movie. Have your friends over. Make the kids go to bed early. I had a parent who was like, I can't deal with him anymore. And I said, okay, you don't have to. It's 6 o'clock. Send him to bed. Well, but we haven't had dinner. I was like, he won't starve. If you need him to eat, he can sit in his room until dinner because you don't need to listen to him. He's being a little punk. He's being rude. He's being mean. He's being nasty. Nobody wants to be around that. The natural consequence of those behaviors, nobody wants to be around it.
Right.
She was like, I can make him go into his room for the rest of the night. I was like, yes, you can set bedtime for whenever. I was like, I wouldn't do it at 9 a.m. when he's come out and he's being, but if it's 4 or 5,
you woke up an hour ago.
But if it's already late in the afternoon and it's a couple hours till bedtime, you can tell your kid to go into their room and that you don't want to see him anymore because they're being obnoxious. And then you can say, you know what, dinner's going to happen in your bedroom. Or if that's not okay, you can come out. You have 15 minutes to eat your food. You go right back in there. I don't want to see your face before dinner or after dinner. I will see you for 15 minutes at dinner or 30 minutes at dinner or however long dinner time is. As soon as you're done eating, you are back in your room. If it takes you more than your allotted half hour to eat, you are back in your room after 30 minutes. So put the food in there, get out of my face. Because sometimes you've just had enough and that's okay. And so, giving yourself permission to take care of yourself. Because, and I use this analogy with my clients as well, if you if you go on an airplane, if people have ever flown before, one of the things that they talk about is the oxygen mask will descend from the compartment above. Please put your mask on before helping anyone that you're with. And then put the mask on, and the air will flow, and then assist your child. Well, guess what? I'll use that on, and especially with parents who may not have ever flown before. I work with a lot of low-income families who they don't go, but some of them have never been outside their city. And, I just say, okay, how do you think this should go? And they're like, oh, you put it on your kid first. I was like, okay, you start to put it on your kid and then you pass out. Guess what? Now you and your kid have passed out. Neither of you are getting air. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, you have to put the mask on you. You put that mask on you, and guess what? You're breathing, but your kid passed out. Well, who's going to put the mask on your kid now? You have air.
Right.
You can breathe. You
Yeah.
pop that mask on your kid. They went, 30 seconds without air? It's fine. They're not going to die. Your kid has done worse when they wanted a cookie and held their breath.
Right.
And so reminding parents that they have to take care of themselves if they're going to take care of other people. And it's not just parents. It is anyone with any relationship to other people. I have to take care of me, because if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of my dogs, can't take care of the guinea pig, can't take care of the boyfriend, definitely can't take care of my clients. How am I supposed to sit and deal with somebody else's mental health issues if I'm burnt out and I'm, sobbing constantly over this like minor stupid thing that I haven't been able to handle? I can't. It's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Autumn said, seriously, I have a really hard time adjusting to the fact that I'm way more disabled than I have been in the past, so I just can't rely on myself to do as much as I used to. And I think giving yourself the space to recognize that is a great first step.
And it really is. It's giving yourself permission to need more help. It's giving yourself permission to be less able than you were. And I mean, part of that comes from having disabilities. Part of that just comes from aging. We are all getting older. And as we get older, our bodies break down a little bit. There are things that I can do great that my 80-year-old grandfather used to be able to do great. 20 years ago, he could do them great. But 20 years ago, he was 20 years younger. And so now he can't. He's had a hip replacement, or, he's, not exercising as much, or, he's more tired because he's older. Takes a lot more work to be, a functioning human.
Right.
There are things that I could do as a 5-year-old that I look at today and I go, oh, that's cool. You have fun with that, kid. You got this.
Yeah.
I go like installing a floor, constantly on your knees, trying like nailing things in. Your knees are killing you. And meanwhile, you've got your, 6-year-old down on the floor with their Brio trains, crawling around on all four, hopping up, ready to go. And it's like, how are you not like, geez. There's a lot of noises that come out of me when I sit up, when I stand up from the sofa that did not come out of me 10, 15 years ago. It's just getting older is hard. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the fear of, becoming more disabled on them, but I can understand where that comes from, because there's a loss of independence. There's also a loss of access to things. I've recently, like in the past year, started using Twitter a lot more, and I've become a lot more aware of like disabled Twitter or disability. I'm not sure what exactly to call it. Like there's ADHD Twitter is just that, but I have a number of Twitter people I follow on Twitter that are disabled in any variety of ways, and I've learned a lot about disability Twitter. Perfect. Thank you, Autumn. I've learned a lot about the various disasters that they run into with like, our building is handicap accessible. We only have 3 steps to get up in. It's like, I'm sorry, that's handicap accessible to who exactly? Like, I'm sorry, only 3 steps is still 3 more than my wheels can go up.
Right.
And things like people having to like load their wheelchair onto an airplane and knowing that when they get it back, if they get it back, it's going to be broken. And so there's a lot of shit that comes with that, and a lot of increased difficulty, not just as, your body is changing and your abilities are changing, but as the world is unable to or unwilling to accommodate the fact that you do have needs.
Right.
One of the things that I've seen a lot of is people and straws, which like I got my, reusable plastic straw here that I recently learned how to clean, and oh boy, did I find some things in there. But like, one of the things that I had never thought about as an able person who hasn't needed to think about it is that there are people who can't pick up a cup. And so they're not able to pick it up and tilt it into their face.
Yep.
So yeah, they do need a straw. And why would it be their responsibility to carry around a straw constantly? Why doesn't the restaurant have straws for people who need them? Why not? And restaurants can have reusable straws. They can clean them themselves. But making sure that, there are accommodations and that people are actually following through with those accommodations.
Right.
Because it's what's needed in order for us to live in a functioning, caring society.
Yeah. She said, my disability is invisible, which makes it even more difficult to deal with. And following the social model of disability, I'm actively disabled by my work environment, grocery stores, public places, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. Invisible disabilities are much more difficult because, there may be days where, a disability is more visible than others. For example, people who are ambulatory wheelchair users. Some days, yeah, you can walk around, and others, no, you can't. Or like, yeah, I can walk around my house. I don't need a wheelchair for that. But like, I can't do my grocery shopping without a wheelchair. And so it does. There's some judgment from people, and then especially if people go on disability. Well, you look fine. Why can't you just get a job?
Yes.
And you get, well, I have anxiety or I have depression. Well, why don't you just stop being scared of everything?
Go for a walk and get more sunshine and just smile.
Well, exercise more. If you got out and got some sun, that would fix it. You just need to exercise. Have you tried cinnamon? Apple cider vinegar? That is going to solve your problem. No. People will come up with all sorts. I have a friend who has type 1 diabetes, and she gets all sorts of great unsolicited advice. Like, but wouldn't it go away if you lost weight? Have you tried cinnamon? Because I've heard cinnamon will cure it. And after hearing that enough, she's gotten to a point where she smiles and she goes, well, the has been working for me, so I think I'm going to stick with that.
Right. No kidding.
But I can't even imagine how exhausting it must be for her to constantly get that. And that's diabetes. That's something people have heard of. You wind up with like an ambulatory wheelchair user or people with a mental illness, and it's like, well, why don't you just feel better? It's like,
yeah.
Well, if I could, I would.
Well, and it just makes you feel worse too, because you're like, I don't know, have I done everything I could? Like, is this something especially with depression, is this something I'm causing myself? Is this a real thing I'm facing? Because you get so much shade from the outside looking in that it's like, maybe I am just, Fee said, am I doing the best I can? My depression tells you no because I'm horrible. And that's a really good example of that. Like, I don't know. Am I just horrible? Yeah, exactly. Like, is it just me? Am I just off? Yes. Like, I have to be so many times I'll go to my therapist with some example, and she's like, that's your depression, right? Like, I don't have to tell you this shit.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something where I like to compare it to a physical illness. So in working with a kid that had a trauma history, the parent was like, well, I had this trauma and I got over it. And I was like, okay. If John broke his leg and said, Dad, I can't run in this marathon. My leg is broken. Are you going to say, well, it's fine. Let's just walk on it. It's fine. And they were like, well, no. I was like, then what are you going to do? They're like, well, they can't run a marathon. Their leg's broken. They need to like rest, and, they need to like put it up and ice it. They need to get like a cast. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? Depression is the broken leg, and school is the fucking marathon.
Yep.
Your kid isn't going to school because their depression right now is as crippling as a physical broken bone.
Yeah.
And telling them to just get over it, you might as well tell your kid with the bone sticking out of his leg to just get over it and finish the race.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And, didn't make sense to the parent the first time. Had to, repeat it for a couple of weeks. But they finally got it. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, okay. I see what you're saying. I get that. And like, it finally hit home that like their kid isn't just being lazy. They're not being defiant. Their kid is suffering, and they are not addressing the suffering that their child is feeling and experiencing because they can't see the bone. They can't see the blood.
Yep. Adams had been in severe autistic burnout, very specific and distinct phenomenon, for almost 2 years now, and moderate for who knows how long. Masking is hella expensive.
Oh, masking is expensive financially, costs too many spoons. It's just, it's rough. It is. And it's not fair, because why should you have to change who you are to make everyone else more comfortable?
Yes.
It's just, it's pointless. It's dumb, and it's not fair.
I agree.
I feel like a therapist would be a good president of the country. I feel like that's what we need right now. Yeah, Autumn, preach.
Yes.
It's tough. It is. And again, it falls back to doing our best to be loving and nurturing and gentle and forgiving with ourselves. And I mean, my job, not the jobs of people with the mental illness. I mean, I have, mental illness, but it's fine. This is my job. My job is to make sure that other people understand what mental illness is, that it is an actual physical illness. Like, it's not this mystical thing. It's in your brain.
It affects an organ. Right. Yes,
literally. I can open your head. I mean, I can't really open your head, but like a brain surgeon could open your head.
Please don't.
And poke at the things that are broken.
Right.
But because it's your brain, everyone goes, oh, it's magical. It's like, no,
heart disease is invisible too. Right. Heart disease is invisible. I can't believe in that.
Yes, heart disease. But people don't think of the brain as an organ. People think of the brain as your personality. And your personality isn't a thing. It's just like your spirit, your soul. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but like I can literally point to your brain. It's in there. It's right there. And there are things in there, I can point to them. They're broken. They're not working right. I can show you a picture of exactly what's not working right in your brain.
Yep.
No ghostly spirit souls needed.
Exactly.
But yeah, okay. Yes, your personality is who you are, and it's formed as, some brain stuff and spirit stuff, whatever you want to sort of attribute it to. But your depression, that's a chemical imbalance. The anxiety, chemical imbalance. The OCD, all of those. We don't quite know about autism yet, but I really look forward to learning about that. What exactly is causing that? And is there a need to cure it? Why? There's nothing wrong with them. They're just different than your neurotypical people. They function. They're fine. You're doing great. Like, y'all are doing great. Don't let people tell you otherwise.
See, I love that.
Your personality is a bunch of chemicals sloshing around in some electronic jelly.
I love that.
it's kind of an unattractive shade of gray jelly, like not the kind of jelly you'd want to eat. But
Please don't eat my brain jelly.
don't eat people's brain jelly. We're not zombies. That's not how we're not living that life.
If you take away nothing else from this stream, please take away that you should not eat other people's brain jelly.
Also, don't eat cow brain jelly because like mad cow disease is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
The whole not to be used for purposes other than intended. We do that with our brains. There you go.
Yes.
Slay said I read an article that said theorized that autism can be caused by failure to prune certain neurons when you're young. You need to try and find it. Ooh, if you do, I would love to read that for sure.
I would be interested in that. I'm a little skeptical just because autism, there are signs of autism in infants. A lot of times people are like, well, my kid didn't show signs until they were like 4. And that's right after they got their shot. And I'm like, well, that's dumb and you're dumb. Let's have a chat about that. But it's like, no, I can look at an infant and there are certain indicators that make me go, ooh, that kid might be autistic. That's something we should be aware of. And like, hey, just so you know, you're going to have to handle this kid a little differently. They're going to have some different needs. Mm-hmm. And that's, one of the very first yes, Autumn, a lot of people don't recognize the sign.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of time going over that. I've had parents who like their kid got diagnosed at 10 and they're like, well, there were never any signs. I'm like, hey, did your kid make eye contact as a baby? And they're like, what? I'm like, when you would like play with them and stuff, did they make eye contact and like make faces at you? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, that was one of your first signs. Mm-hmm. I don't know why your PCP didn't pick up on it, but that was one of your first signs. And then it's like, okay, how does your kid do with like expressing their feelings? Are they good at making friends? Is it really easy? How do they do with like maintaining friendships? And the parents going, well, it's always been really hard for them, but like, it's fine. It's like, no, it's not. You know how you're constantly forcing them into play dates that they don't want to be a part of? Let them play on their own. Mm-hmm. That will make them happy. Like your child doesn't want to be social. It's okay. You don't have to force them to be social. Or, your kid likes being social but has a hard time with like conflict stuff. Okay, we can work on that. Don't try and separate them. Let them be social and let them do this. Or like, well, my kid only eats chicken nuggets. Okay, then feed him chicken nuggets and a vitamin. Like, at least he eats. The other thing.
Yeah, like there are so many vitamins out there now too that.
Oh God, yeah.
Even I give my kid vitamins when sometimes all he wants to do is eat grapes all day.
Yeah. He's got to get the nutrients somehow, and we've got a way to do it.
He ate literally a pound of strawberries today on accident. I said, okay, you can have half of this. And he brought me the thing because I was working. And so I said, okay. He said, can I have some strawberries? I said, yes, you can eat half of it, which would have been half a pound. And he came over to me and he goes, forgot. I said, you ate the whole thing, didn't you? And he holds it up and it's just got the little tops of the strawberries in it. He's like, yeah.
So the other piece that I think is important to touch on is that autism presents differently in guys and girls, in male and female populations. One of the things that I've been learning is that what was attributed to, quirky girl who gets along great with the boys might actually be autism. There are times where that's actually an indication, or that's something that has come out of, their inability to fit into the stereotypical girl bubble. Well, they can fit into the boy bubble more easily. And so she's just a tomboy. It's like, no, actually she's autistic, and that's okay. Like she can roll with the boys if that's what makes her comfortable. But let's recognize that this isn't just, oh, she's just a quirky girl. Like there's actually something behind this, and there are ways that we can support them in being their best self.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate because I was not aware of just how underrepresented women are in research. To go off topic just a smidge, y'all may have seen an advertisement on Facebook where they use a lot of memes to advertise what is essentially Viagra for women.
I have not seen that.
Sounds super cool, right?
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. You know what's even better? The study that they did. Yeah, do you know how many women were part of the study?
Oh God. Is it none?
Like, oh no, there were like 3.
Oh,
Do you want to know how many men were part of the study
how
on a
many?
drug to help with female sexual stuff? Like 60. They tested a drug designed and meant to treat women for a woman-exclusive issue on men.
Yeah.
And
a lot of science is based on, well, it's this way for a man, it must be this way for a woman. Yeah.
Yes. And what they're finding, so like women's heart attacks, different signs than men.
Totally different.
Women, and people don't realize that. So now this drug comes out, and also women, you might experience these horrible side effects, but it's fine because the guys didn't. It's like, yeah, they're genetically different, yo.
Right. Yep.
So it's important to recognize that with anything, there are going to be differences in presentation, especially between boys and girls or men and women, even when it comes to mental health. A lot of times we also think that there are differences in how it presents in adults versus children. Now with ADHD, yes, it presents differently because like adults aren't in school and we usually have some adaptive skills. But with depression, guess what? Your irritable 8-year-old who's just pissy all the time and angry for no goddamn reason and also cries a lot and might be self-harming, well, guess what? They probably have depression. Hey, you know your Uncle Steve who's always irritable and never sleeps and has big bags under his eyes and kind of seems to have 2 emotions, none and angry? Probably depression. Same thing. The kids can't sleep. The kids are angry all the time. Well, guess what? The adults are too.
Yeah.
We just look at it and go, oh, it's stress. Oh, he's just working really hard. No, bro, he is depressed and he needs some help with that. I don't care if it is pharmacological. I don't care if it's psychological. He needs something to help him manage that because he's not okay. And it's not fair that he has to suffer through all of this, not knowing that this is not normal, that this is not a healthy way to feel. You know, it's like having your arm constantly go numb and being like, oh, wait, doesn't everyone have this happen? It's like, no, that's not normal. That's not healthy. Your arm isn't supposed to go numb. You're not supposed to be angry all the time. You're not supposed to be scared all the time for everything. And when you are, that's a sign that something isn't working right. And so what can we do to help make that better?
Yeah. Harvey, thank you so much for that raid. I appreciate that. So is there an overall well-being strategy you would recommend to anyone with or without an underlying disorder?
Yes. Self-care. I don't care if you have a mental illness. I don't care if you have a physical illness or disability. I don't care if you are perfectly healthy in every goddamn direction. Do some fucking self-care for the love of God. Focus on you. Do something that makes you feel good. If you like to get your hair done, your nails done, do it. If you like to go do a little bit of retail therapy, do it. If you like to do crafts, if you like to garden, if you like to color, I get a lot of like, well, coloring is for babies.
I've got coloring books behind me.
Excuse me. Hold on. Where's my, I have one more. Oh, there it is. You want to talk about, oh, hello, sir. You want to talk about how coloring is for babies? I just bought myself the Unworry Magic Painting book. It's when I was just a wee little thing. If I got sick, my mom would get me these. Like I remember getting an Aladdin one where it had the outline and then it had like dry paint blobs sort of in the and you just painted with water. Well, this is the same thing except like there's no visible paint blobs.
Oh, nice.
But when you paint it, with
The color
water,
shows up.
it comes out.
Nice.
And it comes with a little paintbrush and everything. I have
This is
beautiful birds and treetop treasures. Tell me how is a baby gonna color that? No, they are not. I mean, they might, but they're
well,
not
also
gonna
tell me
color
this is made for children. Like, come on.
Oh, not for kids, but oh boy, is that nice.
That's Jason Momoa doing some self-care right there. Like,
He
come on.
is. Check out that bubble bath.
This is from my
Or
sister.
if you're more of the I do enjoy coloring for children, I have my Pusheen coloring
See,
book.
there you
Which
go.
that's so cute. Like it's just a happy
Yep.
cat. Who does
Mhm.
be happy? So really giving yourself permission to enjoy the things that you enjoy, even if other people tell you that they're dumb, even
Mhm.
if people tell you that they are immature.
Yep.
I went on a little bit of a Twitter rant recently. We learn how to cope with stress from birth. And so if you learn how to cope with stress by coloring, well, guess what? As an adult, that's still a skill that's probably going to work for you because it takes you back to, oh, I feel relaxed when I color. I'm like, I used to do this with my mom, or I used to
Mhm.
do this with my cousin, and we had a really fun time. Okay, so color. And if you need some saucy coloring books that have some swear words, fuck it, go for it.
Yep.
If you just need like Lisa Frank, like kitties and rainbows and unicorns, do that. If you want building, they like Dover Publishing, they have a coloring book for literally everything.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is, but I have, oh, is it this one?
That explains why I
It is
kept
this
my
one.
childhood pillow until I was like 22. Yeah, absolutely. I have a childhood bear called Bye Bye Bear.
I have
Doesn't work anymore.
behind me. I don't know if you can actually. Oh, so back right and right there,
Oh,
right
yep.
there.
There you go.
A little bear that a woman named Mrs. Ruppel made for me. She was a charming old German lady who kind of just became like extra grandma to us. I love that bear. I have that bear still. I still have my baby blanket, which fell to bits, but it's got dots on it. So like Dover, I love Dover Publishing. I have the Shakespeare coloring book that has like selections from the various Shakespeare plays
Nice.
drawn. It also has just like things that are like, hey, look at this, costume example. Like here's examples of costumes they might have had, and you can color them, and it gives like what scenes they're from and stuff, and it's fun. I like it. It makes me happy. It
Right.
brings me joy.
Exactly. Like if like Marie Kondo Marie Kondo your self-care. Like if it brings you joy and it makes you happy, as long as it is legal and not harming anyone else or yourself, like go for it. That's what self-care is for. It doesn't have to look always like bubble baths and it doesn't have to be, even though part of my self-care is doing my nails every week, which I didn't do this week, but like it doesn't have to be that. It could be something different. It could be going for a walk. It could be anything as long as you're mindful about what it is. But yeah, it's important to do that regardless of what other people will consider whether or not it's self-care, for sure. Thank you, Slay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Just because I use Discord for these interviews, so like if I pull it up now, you'll see it on the screen instead of our faces. So if you could change one thing about the mental health field or people's views of mental health professionals and educators, what would it be?
Personally, fucking pay us, man. Pay us what we're worth.
Yeah.
That's as a person who works really hard and does not get paid enough money for it. But overall, like, really wish there wasn't such a stupid stigma around it that like people with mental illness are crazy and dangerous. No.
Hi, I'm crazy and dangerous, apparently.
Most of the people that you're passing on the street or in your office have a mental illness, whether it's diagnosed or not. There's something there.
Yep.
Lots of people have
one in
them.
5 over 12 months and 1 in 2 over their lifetime. Just saying.
And surprise, they're not all going to go shoot up, a room full of people.
Yeah.
And treating mental illness as though it's dangerous or that people who have it are broken or damaged. I get a lot of parents who want me to fix their kids. I'm like, well, I'd love to, but they're not broken. But you know who is broken? Your thinking. I wish that we could get rid of the stigma. I wish that people recognize that mental health is physical health and that people valued mental health workers. I have to work really hard to make sure that I meet the activity of my job and keep my company afloat. Because if I'm failing at that and everyone else around me is failing at that, the company fails. We're literally the ones who bring in the money.
Yeah.
And, looking at how much we're getting paid for our time, insurance doesn't value mental health. And when insurance doesn't value mental health, they underpay for the service, which means that mental health providers, agencies, etc., who hire clinicians like myself value us greatly and can't afford to financially compensate us at a rate that demonstrates how valuable they see us as.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of a number of professions, including a lot of healthcare workers as well as teachers. It's
Very much.
we put too much stress on the least important people of society. We will survive without sports, but a country cannot survive, a people can't survive without educators. That's not happening.
Yeah. Very true. Well, I will open up to any remaining community kind of questions and just give you the floor if there's anything that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure that we cover. We'll just take a couple minutes here and let you say whatever you would like to say tonight while we wait for some more questions to come in, if we got any more.
So I discovered, and some of you probably already know about it, but How to ADHD is a really great YouTube channel, Twitter handle, etc., that has taught me a lot about ADHD, especially as a adult functioning with ADHD. That's been really cool. Yeah.
He wants to know if that's a stuffed jellyfish hanging by your window.
This is, there we go. This is my jelly. I got it. It's purple because purple's the best. And its little things are all like, I love it.
That's so
I got
cute.
this from the New England Aquarium in Boston.
Nice. It is very cute.
I have a couple of jellies all over.
Is that a Twitter account? Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Oh, there's a few Twitters for you. All right, perfect.
Lovely. Love that. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate your time. I just thank you for being here. I know that everybody enjoyed having you here, and especially just about a year after you were here before. So, yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
That was my conversation with Elizabeth Climis talking about productivity management with mental illness. This interview was recorded back in 2020, but honestly, everything we talked about still applies today, maybe even more so now. I want to pull out a few things from that conversation that I think are worth sitting with for a minute. Elizabeth talked about time blindness and how ADHD brains just don't process the same way. If you've ever looked up from something and 3 hours vanished, or if you've ever been convinced only 5 minutes have passed when it's been an hour, you know what this feels like. The solution isn't to try harder to pay attention to time. The solution is to use external tools, timers, alarms, visual reminders, things outside your brain because your brain can't be trusted with this particular job. She also brought up the idea that productivity systems need to be stupid simple or they won't work. I cannot stress this enough. If your system is complicated, it requires executive function to maintain it. And if you had reliable executive function, you wouldn't need the system in the first place. So your planner needs to be easy. Your reminders need to be obvious. Your tasks need to be broken down into steps so small they feel ridiculous. Put one dish in the dishwasher. Not clean the kitchen. One dish. Body doubling came up too, and this is something a lot of people don't know about. Just having another person present, even if they're doing their own thing, can make tasks feel possible when they felt impossible alone. It's not about accountability in a judgmental way, but about creating external structure for a brain that struggles to create internal structure. If you've ever suddenly cleaned your whole apartment because someone was coming over, that's body doubling. Your brain needed the external presence to activate. And then there's the big one. Stop using systems designed for neurotypical brains and then feeling bad when they don't work for you. Of course they don't work. They weren't made for you. Find what actually works, even if it looks weird, even if it seems childish, even if other people don't understand it. Fidget tools and pacing and music and whatever else your brain needs to function are all valid tools. Here's what I've learned since that interview. Productivity is not a measure of worth. Some days getting out of bed and feeding yourself is the accomplishment. Some days you get a bunch of stuff done. Both days count and both days matter. Your value as a person is not determined by your output. Also, you're allowed to do things differently. You're allowed to need more breaks. You're allowed to work in short bursts instead of long stretches, to use accommodations and tools and supports. Different doesn't mean less than. Different just means different. If you got something out of this episode, I would love it if you could leave a review or a comment wherever you listen to podcasts. Interaction is what helps other folks find the show, and it also helps me know what's connecting with you. Also, of course, subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss future episodes. We talk about mental health and the messy reality of living with it, and I think there's a lot of value in these conversations. You can find me on social media. I am MommaFoxFire everywhere, and you can find more information about the show and past episodes on the tacosfallapart.com website. The links are in the show notes. If you want to submit a question or suggest a topic for future episodes, there's ways you can do that through the website as well. Before I let you go, I want to say this. If you are struggling with productivity right now, you're not alone. If you're beating yourself up for not getting enough done, or not doing things the right way, or not being able to keep up with everyone else, please stop. Your brain works differently, and that's okay. Build systems around how your brain actually functions instead of how you think it should function. Be honest about what you need, and give yourself permission to do things your own way and to try different things to see if they work. Sometimes things fall apart, like tacos, and when they do, you can pick up the pieces in a new tortilla and keep going, or you can grab a fork and eat it that way, because it all tastes the same. Either way, you're going to be okay. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode.